is beginning. So again, welcome. We have recognized a quorum and we are calling this meeting to order. I'm Laura Phinizy, Chair of the ANC 34G, and we'll start with Commissioner introductions. Vice Chair Nagy.
Thank you. I'm Liz Nagy. I'm Commissioner for ANC 34G07, which runs from Military down to Chevy Chase Parkway. On the east, it goes to Nevada, and on the west to Reno. And thank you all for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Commissioner Sherman.
Good evening, everyone. Bruce Sherman. I represent Single Member District 02, and I recognize several of my constituents on the call, Doris Babcock and Luis Vasquez. So welcome, both of you. My single member district encompasses institutions you all know: St. John's College High School, the Knollwood Retirement Community, Episcopal Center for Children, Moray's New Barrett Fields, and about 850 residences. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Commissioner Grunewald.
You're on mute.
You're still muted. There you go.
Good evening. I'm Carol Grunewald. I represent SMD 03, and the boundaries of that district are Utah Avenue to the northeast, 27th Street to the east, Broad Branch to the south and to the west, McKinley on the north, then it jogs north and east along Nebraska, where it rejoins Utah Avenue. Thank you for coming.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. Commissioner Gosselin.
Hi, I'm Peter Gosselin. I represent District 6, which is largely the west side of Connecticut between Military and Western Avenue in the Circle, back to 42nd Street, with the peninsula to the east of Connecticut to Nevada between Military and Legation. Welcome.
Okay. And I thought yes, there you are. Commissioner Simmons.
Hi, Commissioner Simmons. I have the east side of Connecticut from Legation all the way to Western, and then it goes back to Broad Branch, the divider between wards 3 and 4. And then I also have the Library and Community Center in my single member district. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Gore is on the road and will be joining us at some point when she gets connection. She will see us when she can. So we look forward to her joining it. Okay, so we have adoption of the agenda. We have a couple of changes that were requested. So let me go through those. I will start with my first one. We have the Office of Planning, who was able to come see us. They told us on Friday that they could come and continue the discussion of DC 2050. So I would like to have that item start at 7:55. Commissioner Sherman had indicated that I might be able to have that time, that he would not need it for DCPS. Is that correct, Commissioner Sherman?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so would go from 7:55 to 8:40, which would be a really robust community engagement. So that's my first proposed change. Then Commissioner Simmons had asked that we take a vote on the timing of the June 4th meeting. So rather than just an announcement there about the June 9th meeting, we would also have a vote in there for the timing of that meeting on June 4th, which is recently confirmed. And then Commissioner Sherman, you've put in for a resolution. It had on the original agenda a recap of input on design preferences for community center and library. And you had asked for discussion and possible vote about community input and design preferences. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I would have that after the Office of Planning, I think would be the timing of that. And let's see, I believe that is all the changes that I had submitted. Oh, Commissioner Gosselin, I'm so sorry. You had asked about sharing perspective of Connecticut Avenue business owners. And did you have another item? You're muted still.
I'll be introducing Robert Gordon, who I believe will come online. And then he and I will both report on the meeting we had yesterday with a number of business owners.
Okay, so that would be about probably getting on maybe 9:20, I think, by the time that those items go. So just to recap, adding the Office of Planning, adding a vote on June 4th, after the Office of Planning, adding a discussion and possible vote about previous community input design preferences for the community center and library, and adding discussion of some perspective of Connecticut Avenue business owners. So I'd like to motion that we add these items to the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sherman. All those in favor of amending the agenda, please indicate by raising hand, and I'll call in Commissioner SMD order. SMD1, SMD1 is not yet here. SMD2, yes. SMD3, yes. SMD4, yes. SMD5, Commissioner Simmons, yes. SMD6, Gosselin, yes. 7, yes. All right, hands down. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it, so we will amend the agenda as adopted. Thank you very much. We had some questions about community participation in the meetings. As some people know, our meetings have gone long, and so we were trying to be efficient, but in the process of being efficient, it seemed that we limited community participation too much. The pendulum swung too far. So it was proposed that we have 2 minutes per constituent and public comment. That's the time where we have constituents that can talk about items not on the agenda. And then also 2 minutes per person in presentation with OP. We would go through each person so that no one speaks twice unless everyone who has wished to speak has had that chance. And also during debate, same for commissioner, 2 minutes. And people would need to be recognized by the chair to speak by raising their hand, or if the chair doesn't see their hand, because sometimes honestly, I do have trouble seeing hands, depending on the backgrounds in the Zoom, please send a note in the chat to the chair, the host, and the co-host. And then we can get you, and Commissioner Nagy will use the timer. So I'd like to motion that we adopt these meeting procedures for this evening. Do I have a second? Okay, I think I saw Commissioner Gosselin first. So, but thank you for everybody for their support. So I'll put that, and all those in favor of amending those procedures this evening, say aye. Okay, I see SMDs. Okay, 2 is absent, 1 is absent, 2 yes, 3 yes, 4 yes, 5. Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. 6 yes and 7 yes. Hands down. All opposed say nay. All right, so we'll adopt those meeting procedures. Thank you. All right, so then our next item is the adoption of the April 27th and May 11th ANC meeting minutes. Commissioner Grunewald.
Go. Okay, I would like to move that we approve the minutes of the April 27 meeting with leave to make technical corrections. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Laura, would you like to call the vote? Laura, I think you're muted.
Sure, trying to minimize the reverb. All those in favor of passing the April 27th and May 11th minutes? Did you ask?
I just asked for April 27th, but I can join them.
Mea culpa. No. We'll do 2 votes. That's proper. April 27th minutes, did you want leave for technical corrections?
I said that, yeah.
Yes, okay. Say aye. Okay. 2 yes, 3 yes, 4 yes, 5 yes, 6 yes, and 7 yes. Thank you. All those opposed say nay. All right, April 27th minutes have been adopted.
Okay, now
yes.
I'd like to move that we approve the minutes of the May 11 meeting with leave to make technical corrections. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the May 11th minutes with leave to make technical corrections, please raise your hand. All right, and let's see. Then we have an ANC 3G office. That one needs to be renamed because I'm not sure who that is. Okay. All right. That is former Chair Gore, Lisa Gore. Would you like, are you here to vote on the minutes? Just want to make sure that we got you.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I don't have any questions on them.
Okay, great. All right, number 1, SMD1, yes. All right, SMD 2, Bruce, yes. SMD 3, let's see, where are we? Carol, yes. 4, yes. 5, Corinthia Simmons, yes. 6, Peter, yes. And Liz Nagy, yes. All right, the minutes are approved. Great. Okay, so we will go now to resident comments that are not on the agenda items. So this will not be about the BZA hearing that is on. It will not be about DC 2050. There'll be time for that later, or about the special meetings on June 4th or June 9th, or the preferences of Connecticut Avenue business owners, but other items, community input. Hey, well, I am not seeing any hands. Am I missing? Or I see Mrs. Ann Walters. Miss Walters?
Yes, hi. Good evening, commissioners and residents. My name is Ann Walters, and I'm the outreach coordinator for DC Plug. And I'm here to just give a brief update of the Plug project and where we are. So far, we have completed 100% installation of transformer enclosures, TEs, tap holes, THs, switch manholes, SMHs, and manholes. So all those structures are in, and currently, well, because of the rain, we haven't worked in a few days, but you'll see the contractor out on various streets, and what they're doing now is installation of conduits at various locations, Nevada, Legation, Nebraska Avenue. So they're spread out there all over doing installation of manholes. We also have scheduled, we were supposed to have, the contractor rather, should have started restoration on Legation from the 3300 block to the 3500 block of Legation. However, again, because of the rain, that has delayed the process. I know they've requested Saturday work, so if that's granted, Legation and Broad Branch, 5400 block of Broad Branch, those two streets should be, restoration should be completed by then. We did share with the residents on Legation and Broad Branch the information about the upcoming restoration on those two streets. In terms of last meeting, there were two residents that had complaints about DC Plug. Ron had talked about lack of no parking signs, and he had other issues. I met with him, and because
Oh, sorry.
oh, sorry. Yes.
No,
Okay.
that's okay. If you could just wrap it up, that would be great.
Sure. What I'll do is put my information in the chat, and if residents have any information or questions they would like to ask, they can reach out to me via email and or my phone numbers, or they can go up to the DC Plug website and sign up for the listserv so they, I can properly keep them up to date to what's going on. So I'll drop my information in the chat. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Okay, great. I will leave the chat open for a moment for you to do that, but typically we do not have it on doing meetings and people would need to send that through the chair. But thank you so much, Ms. Walters. All right, I see Cheryl Barnes.
Laura, can you hear me? No.
We can hear you.
Sorry, my Zoom is crashing, so someone else needs to do a timer right now because I can't. I don't know how much longer I'll be on. I'll have to sign out, sign back in.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Nagy, for letting us know.
I can do the timer.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Appreciate it.
Should I start?
Cheryl Barnes, yes. Sorry, go ahead. Thank you.
So I'm thanks for calling on me. I'm actually speaking not on behalf of Chevy Chase Voice. I'm speaking as Cheryl Barnes, resident in SMD 01. So forgive what it says on my sign in. I just didn't have the bandwidth to sign in two places. And also later in the meeting, I need to be here as Cheryl Barnes, Chevy Chase voice. But this is specifically about something in SMD 01 and probably in SMD 02. It has to do with a safety issue that came up again today in my discussion with a neighbor who's really upset. Our whole street is upset about the issue with the cut through traffic racing up and down Aberfoyle Place, and it's diverted through our adjacent side streets. And we think this is primarily due to the closure of North Beach Drive. If I'm not mistaken, some time ago, 34G ANC wrote a resolution about opening beach back up. And it was supposed to be reopened, but Holmes Norton did some political thing to keep it closed. And how that benefited her constituents is a mystery, but she sure screwed everyone up in our neighborhood. So I just wanted to mention that it's an out of control safety issue. It's an accident waiting to happen. And it's even a bigger problem now that most of the people in Barnaby Woods and Hawthorne and North Chevy Chase have to go back to their downtown offices Monday through Friday, which also makes the commute time for everyone much longer. So just be aware that during rush hours, drivers are barreling through our neighborhood. They're frustrated and angry. And what I'd like to know is, does the ANC need a petition to reactivate that resolution and get something done about this problem? And if so, how many signatures do you want?
Chair
Thank you.
Phinizy, time
Thank
is
you,
up.
Cheryl. If you can just
Thank you.
wrap that up.
If you could answer that question, that'd be great.
Sure. I would urge you to reach out to your SMD commissioner and with all that information, and then let us look, then we can work together as a commission to see what might be most effective.
Okay, would a petition be helpful?
Chair Phinizy, I would like to respond since this is my SMD.
Great, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you, Commissioner Gore.
As a matter of fact, this issue is already being worked on in SMD 01 with the residents of Hawthorne. So I've already been in touch with Brian Joyner about scheduling NPS to come back out to the Hawthorne community to talk about getting that street reopened. So we had a preliminary conversation. He wanted to do it after the winter. Actually, when we talked about it is when we had the Hawthorne walkthrough. And I did reach back out to him probably last week or the week before last. So we're in the process of actually scheduling something. So I would I haven't heard or received any information from Barnaby Woods on this issue. I would encourage you, Cheryl, to just email me and I'll update you on what I'm doing. Thank you.
Will do, thanks.
Thank you. And thank you both, Cheryl, and thank you, Commissioner Gore. All right. Do we have another constituent? All right. I am not seeing anyone at this time raising their hands. So let's see if we have any government officials on the call. This would be our time for MOKers or MPD. Do we have any of those? Okay, I am not seeing anyone. I would, if we do have a MOKer or council member, staff person come on later, I might ask for to suspend the rules to allow them to share if they have an update, as their information is often very useful. Okay, well, we are a little bit early for the BZA hearing, but Commissioner Nagy, are you able to see if all the participants are here who would be helping you out tonight?
I think they are. Yes, thank you. That's Pete Nettelbeck is the architect, and Sally and Steve O'Brien are the homeowners. And they're online, and we can give them their mics if we could. Chair Phinizy, please.
Excellent. And can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Chair Phinizy will work that out for you. Or Bruce, can you do that?
The chair should be able to do it. I'm not
Yeah, they should have permission to share screen. Do you not?
It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, because mine says, let's see, allow them to share screen. Let's try again. Try it again.
Aha.
Okay,
Okay, perfect.
very good.
So let me introduce the homeowners of 3817, Sally and Steve O'Brien, my neighbors, in fact, across the street. They're looking to add a one-story addition to the back of their home, and their architect is Pete Nettleback, who was just speaking and is now sharing his screen, and he will go over the presentation and show us what they have in mind, and then we'll go from there. And Sally and Steve, after the presentation, if you would like to make a couple of remarks, that would be great. Pete, you want to?
Great. Thanks, Liz. Appreciate the introduction. My name is Pete Nettleback. I'm an architect working on the project at 3817 Jenifer Street Northwest for my clients, Sally and Steve O'Brien, who are the owners of 3817 Jenifer Street. And this is their primary residence. I'm going to run through this pretty quick. I imagine there'll probably be some questions on the back end, so I'll go fairly quick, and then we'll answer any questions on the back side. 3817 Jenifer Street is located in the Chevy Chase neighborhood. This property has a shared alley with Jocelyn Street. And this is a base map from the 30s, and you can see in the base map that there are a lot of structures that abut the rear alleyway, kind of all around Chevy Chase. It's a very common occurrence that the existing structures that were built in the 20s had a lot of structures that were built right up to the alleyway. This property is located in the R1B zone, and we are asking for relief from the rear yard setback, which is 25 foot, and the side yard setback, which is 8 feet. Here are a few images of the house. This is 3817 Jenifer Street from the front, 38 Jenifer Street from the side facing west and facing east. Images from the rear of the house, and then the two bottom images are the images from the alleyway. And this shows the garage. And the plan of this renovation is to build on top of the garage and connect that ground floor addition back to the original house. So I did a quick study this morning in response to some of the neighbor comments, where I basically walked up and down the alleyway. And I started first between Jocelyn and Jenifer Street. And then I went to the alley between Jocelyn and Kenawa. And every dashed square indicates an infringement of a setback. And this was, so basically just to show that a lot of these houses are built and overbuilt based on, the original structures were overbuilt based on what our zoning codes allow today. So it's kind of a regular occurrence, and I just did a quick kind of calculation, and approximately 65% of the properties that I investigated had some sort of infringement on either rear or side yard setback. So here's some examples, images between Jenifer and Jocelyn Street, just some houses that infringed on the rear and side yard setback. And then in the rear alley between Jocelyn and Kenawa. And so just a lot of houses that are infringing on that rear yard setback. This is the existing site plan. So the shaded in area, the gray area, shows the existing single family residence with a cellar, and then there's a garage off the back, and there's currently a deck over the garage. And that is what we are planning to remove. So the demo east elevation, you can see the existing existing deck to be removed, and the existing house remains the same. The rear elevation, the north elevation, kind of shows the cutting point where we're going to cut into the rear of the house and make the connection into the back. The demo section again kind of shows the deck that's being removed, as well as existing garage that's going to remain below. And the idea is that we're going to build directly on top of that. The proposed site plan basically again kind of shows the one-story addition over the existing garage. And we're planning to keep the same setbacks, the same rear yard setback, the same side yard setback as the existing garage. This kind of shows the connection, the ground floor plan showing the connection between the interior existing and the new addition off the rear. Proposed east elevation. So again, this is a one-story addition, and I think we're really careful to make the addition smaller than the existing house. We're not trying to create a ballroom here. So we're just like, the height of the rear addition is much shorter than the existing house. It's kind of set off to the side, so you're never going to see it over top of the house. We're not trying to overwhelm the house. We're just trying to be kind of making a nice kind of subtle architectural move to add a one-story addition. This is the rear elevation from the north, and you can kind of see the scale of this thing, that it's it's trying to be smaller. It's not trying to overwhelm the neighborhood or the house. The proposed west elevation, kind of similar things. And then the proposed section, again, we're building on top of the existing garage. Slide 20 shows the 200-foot radius map. This is a map that that we get from the Office of Tax and Revenue, which kind of shows any property within 200 feet. Any of those folks will get a letter from the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and they will have access to view the property and the drawings online. So we went around, and Sally and Steve received a bunch of letters of support from the neighbors, including a letter of support from their adjacent neighbor at 3819 Jenifer Street. And this is where the side yard setback is infringed. And we have a letter of support from that neighbor. This morning we received one letter of opposition, and that is across the alleyway and across Jocelyn Street on the north side of Jocelyn Street. And I'll address some of those concerns in her letter first. So the proposal appears to be much bigger than the legally allowed 25-foot setback. The proposal of a structure is so close to other buildings, which would completely crowd out the abutting house, which significantly affect not only the value of the property, but almost also make the existing structure very unappealing. So the 25-foot setback is what we are, is a relief that we're applying for. And I think I showed earlier through some of the earlier slides that most structures and most properties in the R1B zone, especially within this 200-foot radius, actually have parts of their property that infringe on the rear yard setback or side yard setback. And again, we're trying to build on top of the existing garage. We're not trying to extend out this condition of nonconformity, and we really just want to build on top of the existing garage. And then,
excuse me, Pete.
I think the way that this house is the addition is situated.
Peter, I think Commissioner Nagy was trying to get your attention.
I was just going to ask you if you could maybe step up the pace a little bit.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, on my left side, this is my yeah.
I don't have, as it's been noted, they didn't have a timer going because you're not on a 2-minute timer, but we do have some time constraints.
Basically, we were just very thoughtful in the addition. I think we could have added multiple levels. We decided not to do that. We wanted one level off the ground floor. It would make something kind of nice and easy to something that is in line with the rest of the properties in the neighborhood. And then at the end, we just have a bunch of letters of support from the neighbors. And I will open up for questions.
Any of the adjacent or abutting landowners have a comment that they would like to raise? Michael Hall?
Hi, I'm a neighbor to the north across the alley on Jocelyn Street. I just had a couple of questions so
Yeah,
that I
sure.
understood.
Could we ask your
Um,
address, please, Mr. Hall?
3816 Jocelyn Street.
Thank you.
So we're to the north of the 3817, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you.
You mentioned that there were 65% of the properties that you evaluated had already exercised the variance on the properties. Is that right?
No, not that they've exercised their variance, that they've somehow been grandfathered in, or
Okay.
or over the years. I think, as you can see, like if you go back to the base map, and I don't have the exact date on this base map, but I think it's probably somewhere in the mid 30s, because this house was built in 22, and I think they do the base maps every 10 years. But a lot of the houses have garage structures that people have turned into either alley dwellings or kept them as garages or extended their houses back. So not to say that people have done seek relief to do this, but they've either been grandfathered in, or they've and they've been this way ever since they were originally built. But the zoning code has been the thing that's kind of been shifting around.
Sure. Understand. Just
Yeah.
of those 65, how many of those are only single-story properties or would
I
not?
don't have an exact number.
Okay.
But I can show you some of the images. So, I mean, there are a lot of single
Yes.
story.
No, I understand. I understand.
And then like this house is infringing on that. This deck is infringing on it. This whole house is infringing on it. This whole house is infringing on it. This whole house is infringing on it. So there are a lot of base main parts of floor plans of the house that are within that setback.
The windows that are drawn on, I think it was exhibit or page 17, that will look across the alley.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the height of an average person looking out those windows? Will that be above the existing privacy fence that sits on the other side of the alley?
It will be above the privacy fence.
And so the distance between the structure and the privacy fence is approximately 17 feet, if I'm adding things up correctly. The alley is 12. You have a setback of about 5. You're right at the setback.
Yeah, that's right.
And at a height of approximately 20 feet if you're around 5 feet.
So the
height of the windows and somebody standing in the window.
So are you trying to figure out the height of the eye level of somebody standing at in the space?
Yes, if you go back to the 2 windows there that are,
yeah, okay.
Somebody standing in that is how high off the elevation?
Yeah, you know what? Let me pull up if you would hold a second, I can pull up the AutoCAD drawing and I can show you and give you a more accurate answer.
While we're doing that, is there a hardship that's being claimed that justifies the variance?
The hardship, I would say, is we're looking to have a house that my clients can age in place, and they're looking to have a ground floor that is more expansive and something with less stairs. I think one of the options was potentially, adding another level and kind of building up. We're not within a historic district, so we could potentially do that. But architecturally, I think it's nicer to keep the existing front facade and kind of. So architecturally, I think it's a better solution, but also I think it's better for my clients who plan to be in the house for a long time and really would love to have less stairs in their life. And so I think that's one of the.
There is no proposal, though, correct, that for an additional bathroom or bedroom, this is simply a living space off the kitchen.
That's correct.
Okay.
Can you see my my shared screen now? Can you see my AutoCAD or no?
Okay. Yes, I can.
So let's say All right, let's make a person.
This is from the side view, correct?
Yeah, correct. All right, so we have 6 feet. So I'm 6'6", so I always go too high. So let's go down to drop it down 6 inches. So this is 5'6", this level right here, and that is approximately 14 feet 5 above the alleyway.
Okay. The other question is there any plans to build or finish the garage space underneath the proposed addition to turn into living space?
No, the plan is to keep the garage space as is and keep it as a garage.
Okay, we're just concerned that the project would result in a significant loss of privacy for us on the north side, and that the O'Briens will be able to look into our yard or house and know that we are eating dinner and what we were eating dinner and who we're eating dinner with. So are there any steps to mitigate? You're building across from a street light, is that correct?
Sorry?
The street light in the alley, you're building almost directly across from that?
Let's get to the...
If you are not speaking, you might want to turn off your speaker, mute yourself so we don't get
I
reverb.
love Laura Phinizy. I'm fascinated by how she runs this thing. Yeah, that is pretty bad.
Excuse me, Anne, your microphone is on, I believe.
Okay. I don't have a good image of the light, but
I have a question.
so Michael, you had asked about I think that there's definitely plans to have curtains that will probably be drawn a fair amount of time that will be set on the inside of the property.
Mr. Hall, would that help?
Curtains?
Yes.
I think it's the sensation of being in a fishbowl that the plans look, I don't know. We're still trying to understand the plans and what they would do. And I would just ask my last question and I will give up the floor.
Yeah, thank you.
Does the ANC and the zoning board consider a loss of privacy in deciding cases? And if so, what are the elements of proof that are necessary?
I don't believe they consider privacy. I think they consider light and air. And so does it affect your light and does it affect your air?
And how did you determine that?
It is in the zoning code, which I can look up and kind of let you know the language.
Yes,
in the zoning code.
I'm sorry to monopolize the time. So whatever you feel is best, that's fine. Those were my questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Commissioner Grunewald, you had your hand up?
Yes, Mr. Nettlebeck, I'm a little confused, so maybe I just have a couple of really quick questions that will really help me out.
Yeah.
So I believe you said the required rear setback is 25 and the required side setback is 8.
Yes.
So after your project is built, what will the rear setback be and what will the side setback be?
The rear setback will be 5'10", which is existing.
5 feet 10 inches
5 feet 10 inches
from 25. Wow. Okay.
So again, 25 is no. We're not going from 25 to 5 feet 10. It's the existing structure of the garage is 5 feet 10 off the rear property line.
Right.
And again, if you look at the early images, pretty much most of the properties are already infringing on that 25-foot
Yes,
setback.
I understand that. And what will the new side setback be, please?
The new side setback will be 2 foot 7 inches, which is again the same footprint of the garage.
Okay, and how about the other side of the house? What is the other side setback?
14 foot 8 on the east side.
Okay, thank you.
Or, sorry, 14.2. My apologies.
All right. And also my last question is, I believe you said this was 2 stories, but your your drawing looks like it's 3 stories when you include the garage. So that's a little confusing.
So it's a 1-story addition over an existing garage. So the zoning code is, and I think what may have been a little bit confusing is that initially the zoning board misspoke and they sent a letter out saying that this is a 2-story addition over an existing garage. The response to that is that I ended up calling them and said, "Oh, it's actually only a 1-story addition over an existing garage."
Okay, but your other drawing looked like they were when you look from the garage. When you look from the garage side.
So let me show you.
Okay, so right there, it looks like it's 3 stories to me.
That's
Okay,
just the roof.
That's just the roof. Okay.
It's going to be a pitched roof.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gore.
Yes, I just wanted to make a couple comments. One, I feel for Mr. Hall. My house is right behind a construction project on Oregon Avenue, and literally with the new project, they can look all the way into my master bedroom, my living room, kitchen, all the way through the house. So I definitely understand how you feel. One of the things that we're considering is privacy film for our windows. So hopefully you can mitigate that to some point. But I did want to say in terms of the question about, the privacy issue, that's a mitigating issue that the ANC can consider. So it's not, I don't think the statute just says light or air, something like that. It says mitigating factors. So that would be a mitigating factor, but I would still vote for the project because I think, the mitigation can be done on both sides. So there could be privacy film on the project so that they're not having direct viewpoint into neighbors' houses. And again, I'm in transparency going through the exact same thing with the new build out. They could see into my bedroom and into my kitchen and every living space that I have pretty much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gore. Mira Corpus.
Hello, this is Mira Corpus. I'm at 3810 Jocelyn. So the alley ends, as Peter probably noticed, but if the alley had continued, I'd be on the back side, house or 2 to the east, if that makes sense. I was wondering if you could provide a list of all the houses you quickly showed that have the infringement. I think some of the ones you showed are original to the date of the house being built.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And I'm not trying.
I don't understand how those would be included. So I'm concerned about you basing, the ability to do this based on, I think you might have said 65% of other houses. I mean, we did a renovation and we were very, we followed the letter of the law with setbacks, and I think that anyway, just because other people are doing it doesn't mean everybody should have license to do it.
I think let me clarify my position in that I'm not saying that everybody is making these decisions to push back their house, or I'm basically trying to make the point that the zoning code has adjusted. Like these houses were built first, and then they had the zoning code, and a lot of the zoning code is newer, and the older houses don't apply, and so that's kind of and basically that the character of the neighborhood is that a lot of these houses don't comply with that statute, which I think is, I mean, it's very common in the city for a lot of parts of the city to not comply with the newer zoning code. So I think that's the point of it, is that, and I'm not trying to say that, you know, these people did anything wrong. It's an existing condition, and that's kind of what, but it's also very common, and that was a point that I was trying to make, that it is very common to have houses that infringe on the rear yard.
Okay, well, I mean, if you're going to use the statistics, could you send out the list of the houses you kind of briefly went through and denote the ones with the garages, the backs of Kanawha? I saw 2 garages on the back of the alley of Kanawha,
Yeah.
original to the house. So I just don't think, I mean, I'm taking issue with counting those in your percentage.
I'd be happy to spot out and say, hey, you know, this is what what I think is going on here, and it's going to be hard to understand and go through each of the properties to say this is an addition, this is original, and to try to go through all the different documents to understand kind of when the additions happen.
Yeah, I mean, I've been living here for over 30 years, so I know which ones are original and which ones are additions. So I'd be happy to help you on that.
Okay.
But if you're
I mean, honestly, would it be easier to meet? I'd be happy to meet you on and be like, all right, this is what I see, and we can take a
why don't you send the list,
What's
and
that?
maybe you could just create the list of the addresses of the additions that got these exemptions.
So these were not exemptions. These are just in violation of the current zoning code. So it's not that say that they've done anything wrong. The zoning code is now saying that we need 25 feet, and these don't comply with that. And our current, and which is exactly what I'm saying with what we have. We have a situation like this as well. We have a garage that doesn't comply, and we're trying to say that this is a very common condition in the neighborhood.
If I could just interrupt for a moment, Mira, did you have something further?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think the point that's being made here is not that these are in violation because they're new construction. They were just built that way. I know on my alley on Jenifer Street, in the back of Jenifer Street, all the garages go right up to the alley line, whatever garages we do have. Commissioner Grunewald, I would like to allow the homeowners to speak. Did you have something quickly to say?
Yes.
Oops, you got reverb too. Sally, could you turn off your mic? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just real quick. I would like to see the slide that shows the existing house with the addition so I can see how tall they are. And what is the total height of the building? What is the highest point of this building?
So let's go to. So the existing roof high point is 22 feet 1 inches off the existing grade. And the new roof high point is 16 feet 7 off the rear grade.
How tall? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
16 feet 7.
16.7. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you. Sally and Steve, would you like to say a few quick words about your project? You're on mute. Laura, can you unmute? I don't seem to be able to do that.
I've pressed a couple of times to ask to unmute. There they go. There they go.
Okay.
Thank you. Whoa. I don't know
If
why
you,
that's happening.
O'Brien's, if you mute the speakers on the computer you're not using, it will stop the echo.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons.
Okay, I muted it.
Okay, what I wanted to say was
Whoa.
if you're standing on the deck, or you're standing inside the building, you won't be any higher than you are on the deck right now. And actually, the wall in the back of the building blocks the view to the alley.
Okay. Thank you. Jonathan, is it very quick? Because we would be needing to wrap up and move on.
We need to have the O'Briens mute.
Pardon?
Yes, thank you. They
Yeah.
have to stay on mute. That is
Yeah, I've
very
been
All right.
doing that.
Yeah,
Commissioner,
no problem.
Commissioner Nagy, if we need to take a vote tonight, we do have OP on at 7:55. So if
Yep. I'm doing my best to wrap this up. Thank you, Chair Phinizy. Jonathan?
Hi,
Two
I'm
minutes.
I'm at 3810 Jocelyn, and I know there was some confusion about the existing infringements. Those are the character of the neighborhood as the house is currently, the house at issue is currently, is that there are existing infringements as the houses were built in the 20s, primarily in the teens. And the alley, the zoning, the alleys, other things, many things came later. It is really out of character in our neighborhood to have variances that build off of garages directly on alleys such as this. That's my primary concern. There are neighborhoods in Chevy Chase and elsewhere that do have structures such as that are proliferating, sadly. And this is way out of character, the neighborhood, in my opinion. It's not just a single story. That roof brings it up, over halfway up toward the main roof, 2/3 of the way up, and the chimney, which is right on the alley, goes almost up to the entire to the existing roof of the main house. I know we don't have an historic designation, but I think this is a new direction for the neighborhood that I believe should be resisted. I don't believe the ANC should support a project such as this. I appreciate the desire to renovate. We renovated. We did a substantial renovation, and it's an important part of our lives, and I'm sympathetic to that. But I think that that this is out of character, and I'm concerned and oppose it for that reason.
Thank you. Wow, that music is something. Sorry about that, guys, but that sort of tells us that it's time to move on. Shall we take a vote?
That's up to you. If you think
Okay.
if we need to get it for their BZA hearing, then
Wait, Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah, can you review, please, the neighbors in support of the proposal?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Good point.
So here is the 200-foot radius map. Again, the neighbor is at 3819, the adjacent neighbor right here, all along the corner, and then across the road, across Jocelyn Street, across the road on Jenifer Street, and a few more on Jenifer Street, and another on the same side of the street.
So the neighbors in support are colored in yellow. Is that
yes, that's correct. Yep.
Right. Okay. And the neighbors in opposition, just quickly, we're hearing from several. Obviously, I don't have their addresses in mind relative to the address of the owners here.
May I speak again? I mean, I'm sorry I was out of the country and did not get a letter in, but may I voice my letter of disagreement and voice my at this time?
Of course.
Okay, so I'm 3810 Jocelyn.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. As is Jonathan, correct?
Yes, we live together.
I knew that. I knew that. You're my constituents.
Yes.
Down the street. Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, Carol. What?
Yes.
Very quickly, please.
Yes. What about the three houses directly behind number 3817? How come they're not supporting it or sending a letter in opposition? These three houses here.
I'm going to let Sally and Steve address that.
Because they're the ones who are going to mostly be affected by this.
Okay.
Can I mention that the people directly across the alley moved in just a couple of months ago and
But they
just
were
had a baby.
contacted, Jonathan, they were contacted.
I understand that, but
Okay.
they are dealing with a lot, and so I don't
Okay.
know how they feel about it, but I would say if there was a letter, the Board of Zoning Adjustment vote isn't until the 1st, so we don't know whether others may submit opposition there.
Commissioner,
There are a total of 3 houses, right? Here.
Houses behind, yep.
So what about that accounts for 1? Now, what about the other 2 houses? These are the ones who are going to have their privacy affected, correct?
So there's one at 42. There's so I know that I'm going to let Sally and Steve address kind of talking because I know they reached out to them.
okay, we are over time.
Yeah, no, we have to wrap up.
May I make a suggestion that might be helpful? The thought is to ask to get the information from the neighbors across the alley, those 3, the neighbors on the side, come back with the list, and we could vote on it the June 11th meeting, perhaps, because we would know then everybody's point of view. It seems to me we're missing some information.
I don't know that we are missing information. I think maybe it would be wise to listen to the O'Briens and see what kind of outreach they did do to those houses before we make a decision.
Right. So then we have like 2 minutes, and then we'll need to have OP because they've been here for a while.
Okay, well, they came early. Thank them very much. We thank them very much. Commissioner Gore, is it very fast what you have to say?
Yeah, I would call for the question. I think we've heard enough. I think we understand that there's neighbors opposed, and I think we know why they're opposed. But I do think we have enough to make the decision.
So Commissioner Gore has called the question. I'm going to ask that we stop sharing screen for a minute so that I can see the gallery better. Okay. Thank you. All right. Do we have a second to call the question? Second. Okay. So the call to question makes us proceed immediately to a vote, and it requires a 2/3 majority. Or 5 of us. All those in favor of proceeding immediately to the vote, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so 1. Do I see Commissioner Sherman on here?
You do. His hand is up.
I do. Okay, sorry. It's just hard sometimes to see. I do not see Commissioner Grunewald. Commissioner Phinizy, yes. Commissioner Nagy, yes. Commissioner Simmons, yes. Commissioner Gosselin. Okay, so the question has been called, so we will immediately proceed to the vote. Commissioner Nagy, would you like to name the motion for the vote?
Yes, I move that we make a motion to approve the project at 3817.
Jenifer.
I second.
Jenifer, thank you very much, Peter. Jenifer Street, 3817 any street, doesn't matter. Yeah, 3817 Jenifer Street, Northwest.
Okay. So, and do you have a second?
A second.
Second. Okay. All those in favor of approving the special exception at 3817 Jenifer Street, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I see Commissioner Gore, yes. I see Commissioner Sherman, yes. I do not see Commissioner Grunewald. I see Commissioner Phinizy, yes. Commissioner Simmons, yes. Commissioner Gosselin's, yes. Commissioner Nagy, yes. Hands down, please. All those opposed, say nay. All those abstaining? Thank you. So by a vote of 601, the motion passes to grant the special, for us to write the note form 129 to the Board of Zoning Adjustment to grant the special exception. So we will be voting to support that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you to all my neighbors for all of their input.
Okay, thank you. And now,
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And now we have Ryan Where is Ryan from OP? Ryan Hand from
Yes,
OP.
ma'am.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Commissioner, how are you?
I am fine. How are you this evening?
I'm well. Thank you for having
All
us this
right.
evening.
Well, thank you for coming in early and sticking with us. We are ready to hear what you have to say. Do you need to share your screen?
I may share my screen to answer questions, but I want to remind the commission that my colleague was here earlier this month, and I'm coming to
Correct.
this meeting to answer some follow-up questions. So I'm not
Okay.
planning to give a presentation. I assume you all saw the presentation. I don't know that that's productive to go over again. Does that
Okay.
help you?
I think so. It's just if anyone has any questions, particularly about the new change areas or the some of our questions actually dealt with some of where the 116,000 units would go between what we have now with 325 and what OP is forecasting for 421. And we did not ever see a map on that. So that may be something later. Do you want to give a brief recap or do you want me to do it to lead us in?
I'm happy to give a recap.
Okay, we give a 2-minute recap, I think.
I see Commissioner Nagy might want to step in
I
here.
do. Thank you
Commissioner
very
Nagy.
much. A quick question, which is I was about to set a timer and I don't know how long to set it for.
Why
20
don't
minutes?
why don't we do for a 2-minute recap and we can extend if needed, just so that we can bring people up to speed if they weren't here. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Nagy.
All right.
My
There we
pleasure.
go. Thank you,
Hello,
Ryan.
everybody. Of course. Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Hand. I'm the Associate Director for Citywide Planning at the DC Office of Planning. What that means is I lead the team that prepares the comprehensive plan. The reason why I'm here tonight is to follow up on a conversation that a colleague of mine presented earlier this month, sharing our proposals for the new future land use map. I want to put that in a little bit of context. We are at the end of the second out of 5 phases in this planning process. We're finishing this phase now, and this phase is called Exploring Possible Futures. That's where we've collected feedback on how the city should grow over the next 2 decades. We started collecting engagement in the fall, and we're wrapping up at the end of this month. Right now, we have a virtual workshop available to provide feedback on the proposals we're making. These proposals are on a proposed future land use map. A proposed future land use map introduces a new approach to land use categorization called place types. Place types are similar to the land use categories we've used for decades. They are best practice in the planning field. And what they do is they provide more information, more certainty, and more clarity about what the city's policy is for each individual area of the city. Our proposal includes 4 residential place types that are pretty much the same as the 4 residential land use categories we have today. The big change that we have is we've simplified more than 55 commercial place types or mixed use of various types down to 3 fundamental center types. So that's where the simplicity comes from. And what this will look like in practice is that we're going to provide about 2 pages of policy rather than 1 paragraph of policy for each one of these categories. So that's where the difference comes out of. I know there's some questions today about what these proposals might mean for the 3G, 4G community, and I'm happy to answer those today. I want to provide a little bit of outlook ahead. So we're finishing the phase of engagement around exploring possible features now. We're going to go heads down for the summertime, prepare a draft plan. This fall, we will release that plan in September, collect engagement throughout the fall. We'll be encouraging ANCs to submit resolutions either of concern or support. And then ultimately, we'll be submitting the comprehensive plan.
Okay. Maybe can you wrap it up in another 30 seconds or so?
Oh, not even. So we'll be submitting the comprehensive plan to DC Council in the summer of 2027, so next summer for their consideration. And ultimately, we hope that it'll be through all the approvals, which include NCPC and congressional review by early 2028 when implementation will begin. So that's the overview. Happy to answer questions.
Commissioner Goss.
Ryan, the language that I've seen used recently about the current effort modifies slightly the language I've heard before. I'm thinking particularly about R1B zones. These are single family house zones currently. There's talk about trying to modify the current rules for R1B zones. One thing I'm not clear about is the modification that you're considering just near transit sites, or is it the rules for the whole all the zones?
Those are good questions. So this is a good piece of clarification. The map we've shared to date is the future land use map. That's a policy map in the comprehensive plan. That's the map that informs zoning regulations. The zoning map is different than the comprehensive plan map. They're approved by different bodies. The comprehensive plan is approved by DC Council, and zoning changes are approved by the zoning commission. So they go through two separate pathways. The policy we're proposing would apply to the entire city. We are proposing changes predominantly near metro stations and along major corridors. But the changes to our policy for any given category would apply to the whole city.
Okay, and the other question that I have is so that, for example, changes in the map that would be understood to produce zoning changes in what R1B meant would apply to the entire category of R1B zones. Is that correct?
There's a nuance here in that the category that would apply to those. So in the proposal we made, that'd be the small scale residential, which would include all R1 and R2 zones, as well as, there may be a few other, special zones in there, but generally R1 and R2 zones, rather than, I'll wait for this for a moment, rather than any zone in particular.
I'm sorry, I apologize. That was actually Commissioner Gosselin's timer. You go too. Go for it.
I have a follow-up question that I was trying to build towards, but didn't make
go
it.
ahead. Well, that's not my decision. I'm sorry, Commissioner Phinizy's decision.
Mr. Hand needed to finish that answer. I think he was talking about a nuance. There was a category, a small scale residential that includes all R1 and R2.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Yes, the small scale residential category does not apply to any specific zone like R1B, but it applies to categories of zones that would meet the parameters of that small scale residential. R1B would be one of those zones, but the policy isn't specifically for R1B itself.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to different commissioners, and then if everybody has had a chance to speak, we can perhaps have time to go back to others. I see Commissioner Sherman's hand next.
Yep. Ryan, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Why don't you just tell us and tell all the members of the community here what you think the changes that OP has in mind mean for our neighborhood?
We propose fairly modest changes in the 3-4G area. They're generally along the Connecticut Avenue corridor and pretty tightly tucked to the corridor. What those changes mean is that there might be a few more neighbors in the community that'll help make restaurants and the corridor more vibrant. It'll help make the bus run more often and things like that. We're not talking about really big changes through this proposal.
So tell me this, as you're well aware, in our neighborhood, Upper Connecticut Avenue from Livingston Street to Chevy Chase Circle has already been upzoned. What would change in addition to that?
So that's right. So there's some, the areas we're proposing are along Connecticut Avenue, just north of Nebraska Avenue. Those are areas that would allow a 4-story building today. We're proposing to allow up to an 8-story building to be consistent with what's allowed along the corridor, generally the length of Connecticut Avenue from the Taft Bridge up to the circle. It's a bit of a consistency move here, more so than a large strategic approach.
So tell me again, which part of it was Nebraska Avenue you mentioned?
Connecticut Avenue north of Nebraska.
Connecticut Avenue north of Nebraska.
Yes.
And what was the number you just said? I'm sorry. 4 to what?
8.
The current buildings we allow to be about 4 stories. The proposal would allow buildings that are typically about 8 stories.
So multifamily dwellings potentially in the broader neighborhood are not in the offing.
I should be clear that we are not talking about land use change as a result of that, but we might talk about allowing a larger home to have 2 units with inside of it. So that's something we might consider.
For this neighborhood as well?
For the entire city.
Entire city. And as regards its implementation or its rollout over time, areas of focus for that would be in our neighborhood, which, if any?
I don't particularly see an area of focus. That's generally going to be slowly adopted over time as properties turn over. They're not going to be rapid changes.
Okay, so just my final question. If someone owned a property under what you have in mind, say in 2029 or 2030, that is a single family home and wanted to create a 2-unit dwelling, that would be permissible under what you have in mind.
And it's generally permissible today, right? Almost every property in the district can have an accessory dwelling unit today. This is a pretty small change from what's allowed today.
Okay, I'm not to press on this, but an accessory dwelling unit is different from creating a duplex.
Yes.
Largely, we're talking about the form of the building here. So that's the big takeaway I want commissioners to have here is the proposal we're making is about guiding the city's change through form. So the way that a building looks from the outside is what we're focusing on, and then working on opportunities to allow more people to live inside that structure.
Okay, thank you.
I have Commissioner Nagy.
Thanks.
Are you doing the timer for the?
Yeah, I am, and I have a question about it because we're not going to be able to have any meaningful conversation this way if like every 2 minutes the thing blasts off. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth going. So can I get a read on whether we can suspend the timer for this discussion as long as we keep it reasonable?
Can you use your computer clock, or you want me to use my computer clock? I can do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
But I have an actual question.
Okay.
For Ryan.
Commissioner Nagy, you can also silence the timer. It's a button.
Well, yeah, that's
silence the so that no sound goes off.
Okay. In the meantime, Laura's gonna do that.
I'll check. Yeah.
For the moment, thank you, and then I'll figure that out after I speak, if that's okay. I think what I just heard you say was that within the existing envelope of a building, you could make a multifamily home.
That's correct.
I have
That's
a
an
follow-up
idea.
question.
That is an idea we are considering. So that is something I want to be transparent about. We haven't made the decision to propose it, but we are considering it.
And would that change? Because there was a suggestion, there was a comment made at the last session that you OP would approach people and see how they felt about putting multifamily dwellings in R1 zones, current zones that are currently R1. Is this what you were talking about, or are you talking about demoing existing single family homes and making multifamily homes?
So this is a great place for clarity. In a lot of parts of the city, we are proposing to change the small scale residential category to a moderate scale, which would allow larger buildings up to 4 stories. That could allow someone to demolish a home that exists in that property. The policies that we are crafting to support that are designed to make sure that the new buildings that might be constructed are compatible with the buildings that exist. We don't want to destabilize neighborhoods. We do want to solve the housing crisis we have. And so part of the engagement, so that's part one, right? That we are working in some areas to allow larger buildings. In the 3-4G area, we're really only proposing that along the Connecticut Avenue corridor on our current proposal. In terms of process, right now, we're introducing the future land use map now because there's a lot going on in the city today. And we wanted to make sure that people understood that this conversation was important. And we know that the future land use map has a level of clarity because you can see I live here, right? That's why we wanted to start the conversation, the future land use map. As we go through the fall, we release the full draft comprehensive plan with all the policies that support these place types. We're gonna have another round of conversations. After the comprehensive plan is adopted, then there's another set of discussions and process around zoning changes that would follow it. So there's many steps and many places for input along the way.
Okay, thank you. That is the 2-minute time there. I think I had seen Commissioner Simmons' hand up. Was that for speaking, or was that to notify on something else, Commissioner Simmons?
I was gonna speak, but I was gonna speak.
Would you like
Mr.
to?
Hand? Yeah, so Mr. Hand, you mentioned that it's to go north along Connecticut Avenue, and I just want to point out, so for example, we have a Sunrise development that's there. I think it may be like 2 levels. So hypothetically speaking, with this change, if they wanted to add more space in the Sunrise building that's currently there, they would be able to increase the size. And I think next door to it is Regency House, which already has, I believe, 10 floors. So that's a good example of what the update would do. So if we already have a structure like the Sunrise senior home, if they wanted to take it up from 2 levels to 4 or 8, and it's also to be consistent along Connecticut Avenue because we have some buildings already that are greater than 4 levels. So I guess I just wanted to emphasize that to the community, is to kind of help the consistency along Connecticut Avenue. And I would welcome more residents here in our neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And yes, that's correct.
I have actually a question, if I can call on myself. Are you able to show the place types for Connecticut Avenue that shows the neighborhood center place types?
Yeah, I'm happy to share my screen.
Okay, if you could show that, because when I look at the neighborhood center place type, and
can you confirm you're seeing my screen? I want to make sure
we
that
can see it. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
All right, so
now,
the area that I'm showing, you can see that what you're seeing is Connecticut Avenue running north to south diagonally, and Nebraska crossing it. You can see the areas outlined in blue. Those are the areas we're proposing for change. Those areas were moderate scale residential, which is the policy category that would allow that 4-story building. What's being shown here is the medium scale residential, which allow buildings up to about 8 stories. The buildings you see in brown are large scale residential. Those would be buildings that would be often more than 90 feet, typically 90 feet the standard. And what you'll see is just south of Nebraska Avenue. That's what's called an urban center. That allows buildings that are typically 8 to 10 stories. And then if we go a little bit north, I think it might be helpful for context. Going a little bit north is where the neighborhood center is in the Chevy Chase community.
yes, so that is my question. So when I go to like the OP website and I look at the neighborhood center location for the place types, and I see the neighborhood center, and it actually shows skips on the avenue, and it says that it's typically like 4 to 5 stories. So I'm wondering why, when it's in pink from Livingston up to Chevy Chase Circle, which would indicate a neighborhood center place type, that on the OP website has skips on the avenue, which is very small, why it's there, why you just said it would be 8 stories tall. And I will put the website that I'm looking at in the chat for people to see, because it literally shows skips and child's play as the neighborhood center type, which I'm looking there, but which is no way near 8 stories. So I'm a little confused.
Yep. Thank you, Commissioner. Would you like me to stop sharing my screen at this point? Is that helpful?
Yeah, stop sharing your screen for a second, and let me see if I can share mine for a second. Can you guys see this neighborhood center place type?
Yeah.
Here? Yeah, so that's what you see when you go to the OP website for neighborhood center place type, which is what we look like we have up to the circle. But then I just heard you say you were thinking of 8 stories, so that doesn't seem to match what is on the map in pink with a description of it, which talks about typically 1 to 4 stories, but you just said up to 8 stories. So I'm confused.
Yep, sorry about that. I may have inserted some confusion. The area that would allow up to 8 stories is the commercial area south of Nebraska Avenue. The area that you're referring to is a neighborhood center that would allow up to 4 stories, and that's in line with what the zoning allows for in areas like that today. So though many areas like the Avenue do have 2-story buildings today, a 4-story building could be built if someone chose to.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. I appreciate that. Commissioner, I'll go back to commissioners, and then we have some constituents. Commissioner Sherman?
Yeah, just to clarify, again, because Upper Connecticut Avenue has been upzoned, we're going up to 7 stories or 70 feet already. So we're already there.
Yep.
You're speaking about down Connecticut Avenue that would affect building heights possibly down there. But we're already in a different situation here, right?
Generally, yes, we did make a lot of those changes in 2021 that you're referring to, and that is an important part of how the city will grow.
Right.
Thank you. Commissioner Nagy.
Thank you. So what Commissioner Sherman said just now is down there. Well, down there is SMD 07. And that area, yes, from military to almost Nebraska is SMD07. I see Commissioner Gosselin shaking his head. You want to put the map back up? That's my SMD. That's why I kind of know it.
Yeah.
The stuff in brown with the blue lines around it on that map that you showed earlier, right? That, or ochre, yellow ochre. You envision this area in whatever this color is to be 8 stories tall? Is that?
That's correct. These buildings could eventually be 8 stories tall.
Okay.
And
And
I should say an important caveat with that is the policy will be releasing recognize that that the properties near them are smaller scale. And one of the principles that we'll be bringing forward is that when larger scale buildings are added near smaller scale buildings, the larger scale building has to absorb the transfer, meaning it has to give space to the buildings that are lower scale around it. So we're taking some real care in this process to think about how these different types of buildings fit together. And that's why we're looking forward to having further conversation in the fall when we release the full set of policies around this.
okay, well, I know what every single little blob on this map is, and all those little light brown ones are small townhouses or small single family homes, or a couple of them are condos, like small multifamily condominiums. But none of them is 8 stories tall.
No, ma'am, none of them are today.
Right. Why does Connecticut Avenue have to be uniformly 8 stories tall from beginning to end when we have, not quite done. Sorry, I know you want to answer that, but I'm not quite done. We have a surfeit of vacant apartments on Connecticut Avenue right now. They're not renting, and landlords are trying to lease with.
Point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair.
Yes, what's your point?
I think discussing vacancy rates of current apartments is not related to Office of Planning. We're here to talk about. So I just want for us to stay on track, please. Thank you.
Sorry. That's my timer. If you could kindly wrap up your question, Commissioner Nagy. Thank you.
Well, so my question is, I mean, why does Connecticut Avenue have to be uniformly 8 stories tall from start to finish for housing that may or may not be needed? And that is part of OP's plan. I mean, you talk about how many new people will be living in the city. You envision how many hundreds of thousands of new residents. That's actually part of the plan. It's very much on point to Commissioner Simmons's point. And I don't understand why we must have a uniform city everywhere.
I think this is a great question. Thank you for asking it. I want to kind of pull back a little bit. So when we look ahead to the next 2 decades, we think the city will grow by about at the same rate it grew over the last 2 decades. So we grew our population increased by about 20% since the year 2000. And we think by the year 2050, we'll grow by another 20%. And the reason why we have that expectation is that we work with jurisdictions throughout the region to collect really high quality data about what drives our economy forward, the jobs, the industries in our region, how they connect to the broader world around us. So that's and we work together to figure out how that growth is likely to fall across the region. And that's where we get the outlook of how many people we're likely to have in the future in this city. There's some degree of imprecision, right? We're making estimates about people who haven't been born yet. So that's part of why we update our forecast fairly frequently. They don't change a lot, but we do adjust them, and they do have some effect when we make those changes. But by and large, we've been pretty darn accurate estimating households. So the number of housing units we need since the late 70s, we've been pretty accurate at estimating households. Population's a little trickier to figure out. That's where kind of understanding what people want to do who haven't been born yet gets a little tricky. But we're pretty good at estimating households. So that's why we have a pretty good base of that number. The reason why we're focusing on corridors and adding housing on corridors is because the corridors have bus service on them, and our city's growing and our roads aren't getting bigger. And that means we need to move and we need to use transit and bikes and other ways to get around, because our roads just can't accommodate the number of people who are likely to come here if we all travel the way that folks generally do today. So we need to make it easier to ride the bus. That's why we're focusing on adding homes near corridors.
Right. Thank you.
Sure,
I see. One more.
I will have a follow-up question.
Okay, and then we need to get to our constituents here after that. Commissioner Goss.
Yeah, first an apology to Commissioner Nagy. I had understood Ryan to say the 8-story stopped at Nebraska. I was wrong. She was right. Ryan, I want to ask a question about the yellow areas. So you say you're not going to propose something that would enable the construction of 4-story buildings in single-family zoned areas, but you want to make changes that would allow for structures that would have multiple units in them, although you might have some form that would make it look like it was a single family house, perhaps. Two questions. One is do you envision proposing a limit on the number of units in these faux single family houses? And two is, would you consider a PUD-like process that requires neighborhood input for any change that breaks the box of a single-family zoning?
Those are good questions. I want to take these in a few steps. So, first of all, the proposal we've made right now does not propose allowing 4-story buildings in areas of small-scale residential. We are receiving a very large amount of feedback through this process. And I'll say about 2/3 of the people that have weighed in on the proposed future land use map have requested that we add more housing. I don't quite know how we're going to accommodate that change right now. I don't know exactly what path we're going to take to accommodate that direction. So we may release a different proposal in the future. So I want to make sure people understand that. The thing to know is that we're taking a lot of care because we're thinking about this place type policy through a form-based approach, what the buildings look like. So, our goal is to allow our city to grow in ways that are respectful of the architecture that exists here. Buildings might be taller, but we would have policy around how that height is applied so that it's sensitive to the other buildings. So that's kind of first part of the question. The second part of the question is about the number of people who live in a building. The first thing is that the building code functionally restricts the kind of maximum number of housing units you can include in a building. There are standards for how big a bedroom has to be and the dimensions of a kitchen and things like that. And what that basically works out to is a kind of a minimum size that a home can be, something around 500 square feet per housing unit. It's kind of like the floor. It's a little, I'm giving you a rough cut there, but it's something of that nature. The zoning would likely have a number of unit restriction in it. We are evaluating whether it is appropriate for the comprehensive plan to weigh in it relative because the zoning code would weigh in and the building code have viewpoints. So that is a question we are considering, and I don't have an answer for you on the number of units allowed in a building.
And just with regard to the process, what about a PUD-like process for anything that is not a single family house in what is now a single family zone?
That is our approach is a by right pathway, which is not a discretionary pathway like a planned unit development. And those are all things we'll present when we release the draft plan, and we encourage ANCs to weigh in on these. These will be important points of discussion.
Yeah, that would be time.
Thank you. Back to Commissioner Nagy, and then I see 5 constituents.
Okay, thank you. I'll start the timer on myself. I actually would like to follow up on your comment about by right. I mean, that the direction that the city is going in, I have two comments, is by right. Right. So I think we can abandon the fiction, if you will, of, trying to intervene as developers want to build at scale in order to make more money. I mean, we just all need to realize what we're really talking about here and then decide how we want to handle life in our city. To follow up on your projections for population growth and jobs, and actually Commissioner Phinizy is better versed at this than I am. She's really studied this in some detail, but I've also done some work with her on this. I don't know how these hold up. I don't know how you account for a wild card like Doge or an executive in the federal government that wants to empty out the city and hollow it out, which I think we've seen over the last year and change. You can't really account for that. So right now the trend is opposite of what you all are projecting. We're losing residents right now. In tens of thousands. It's not like we're gaining 116,000 residents. We've lost what? I mean, you'll fill in the blank for me, but is it 60,000 people have moved out of the district in the fairly recent past? So I don't think these projections that you have justify the direction that the city wants to go in. And this is sort of a build it and they will come mentality, which I just find troubling, really, because it just flies in the face of, to me, reason.
Yeah, I want to provide a little bit of context for that. So our forecasts do assume that there will be recessions in that period of, over the next 30 years. We're essentially experiencing a regional recession right now. That's something that we assume that there will be ups and downs. We don't model when those will occur, but we do assume them over the course of the 30-year period. So we are experiencing one of those downturns. But to put put some of the other points in perspective, our population is actually growing. It's not growing very quickly, but it is growing right now. We're up. Our population's increased the last couple of years in a row. We have lost about 50,000 jobs in the city. That's about 5% of our total jobs and about 15% of our federal jobs. We are experiencing real challenges, real changes, and real impacts. These are things we're very focused on. And that's part of why we need this comprehensive plan, because our city does need to adjust its outlook. We have experienced a significant change, and we will take action to respond to those changes and return to growth. Those 50,000 jobs are about 2 to 3 years of typical job growth in the city in good years. So yes, it's a lot of jobs, and it has harmed families in very painful ways, but these are losses we can and will recover from.
Can I just follow up, please? 50,000 jobs means more than 50,000 people. So if there's an exodus of 50,000 jobs and those folks are chasing jobs someplace else, like Texas, which is growing big time now everywhere, we're talking about way more than 50,000 people. We're talking about anywhere from 100,000 to, for families of 400,000 people, theoretically.
Yeah. So the people that held those 50,000 jobs, about a third, typically, of people who work in the district are district residents. Many of the people who lost jobs did not live in the district. So the impact is a little bit exaggerated outside of the district. I haven't been tracking the region's demography quite as closely, so I can't quite give you a year by year of the region's demography and how stable or unstable it is. But what I can say is that leaders from throughout the region are banding together to confront this, shock to the system we're all experiencing and chart a path forward, because we're all committed to building a great region, a great city together.
Chair Phinizy, I would like to request for you to refer back to our meeting procedures. I don't think we're following those. The community would like an opportunity to speak, and we've had several commissioners talk more than once. So
I think Commissioner Nagy is our last one, and that answered your question, I think. Yeah, great. Okay. Robert Gordon, I see you next.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hand, I understand that from Livingston North, the commercial zoning would change to 8 stories. Is that correct?
Let me refresh myself here. I know from Livingston North, and I should be clear, our policy that would allow zoning changes, we're not proposing a change north of Livingston. That would allow the same place of building to be allowed today.
So 0 change. So currently, I think it's 40 or 45 feet. Is that correct?
Yeah. And a property owner petition for a different zone, typically 40 to 50 feet would be allowed under that land use policy type.
So I'm not sure I understand. I mean, one time you said it was up to 80 feet, and then now you're saying it's 45 feet. So
would you like if I show my map real quickly just to make sure this is to illustrate this a little bit?
And while I have the floor, my concern is that if landowners, if the landlords are incented to build a large building over current shops, current retail stores, they may go ahead and do that. And then what happens to those stores that are underneath? What happens to the Parthenon? What happens to all of the stores that are currently in buildings that are no more than 20 or 25 feet?
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. If you can see my map, the area you see, I can't recall. Are you able to see my cursor? Is that
Yes.
able to? The area my cursor is the area is a neighborhood. We're proposing as a neighborhood center. That is about the same. That is equivalent to what our current policy for the area allows, and that allows buildings that are 40 to 50 feet tall. So no, there's no policy change in this area. This is the area with the Parthenon and the areas we're speaking about. We have not proposed a policy change in this area. The area my cursor is showing now, these orange blocks, would allow buildings that are changing from about 4 stories tall to about 8 stories tall. And the area all the way at the bottom in this brighter pink down here is the commercial area I was mentioning, where there are larger commercial buildings to be allowed up to 8 stories tall. Is that helpful?
Thank you. That answers my question.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
All right, Miss Robinson, Adele Robinson.
Hi, thank you. As someone who lives a half block from one of those yellow squares or mustard colored squares and who did get doged and was born in this city but may have to leave. I just want one data point for you and then a very simple question. In April of this year, the DC Policy Center put out a release that the city has experienced flatter domestic migration rates and steeper birth rate declines than its urban neighbors. So I just want to add some data of a very well recognized data center that focuses on DC, that this may not be a temporary situation when you put in the birth rate decline. But my question is, let's say there's an 8-story building on the corner of Connecticut and Ingomar where there's currently a 4-story residence. And each floor is a condo unit. And each floor is priced at $1 million or more. There is nothing in this plan that requires more affordable housing. Is that true?
That's not exactly true. The district already has a series of regulations, including inclusionary zoning, that allow affordable housing. The most important thing, though, is that we're solving a couple of different problems with the overall strategy across the city. Again, we're not proposing a lot of large.
That's not answering my question. Could each of those units be a multi-million-dollar condo?
Yes. Well, let me be clear. We are allowing housing across the city to meet the needs across the city. So yes,
I understand what you're doing across the city. I'm asking per building.
Excuse me. Would you allow me to answer?
Point of order.
Yes, what rule has been broken, Commissioner Gore?
Interruption.
I'm sorry, my apologies.
Commissioners we should not allow any interruptions in our meeting, regardless of whether they're coming from community or commissions.
Okay. Point is well taken. Thank you. Mr. Hand, please continue.
Pleasure. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. So what we're doing across the city is allowing housing to be built to meet the need. Yes, some of those units might be $1 million condos, but at the same point in time, they're also more likely to be apartments across the city. They meet a lot of different needs, right? And so and what that does, it allows housing across the city to be more affordable, more people to afford to live in the city, which helps reduce housing costs overall. In addition to that, by allowing more housing, we're allowing more areas where affordable housing can be built. The city has about 58,000 dedicated affordable housing units. Those are subsidized in some way, shape, or form or another. Those buildings are able to develop on these sites as well. So we're creating a whole bunch of opportunities for the city's housing economy to balance itself. That's kind of the way, but it's helpful to think about this. So to answer your question specifically, yes, those condos could be whole floor units. The city also has a series of programs from inclusionary zoning to its investments in affordable housing to create the equity outcomes that we are seeking as a city as a whole.
I'm going to move to Michelle Wolin. Thank you. Michelle Wolin, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Wallen, I believe you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my screen now says mute. It's very strange. Anyway, I have 2 points I'd like to make. One is that if you could go back to your map for a minute, please.
I'd be happy to.
And I hope you all will give me time to make my 2 points. Quickly, the area that you have where it can go up to 8,
Yes, ma'am.
above Nebraska. I live on Jenifer. So I can tell you, on the east side, Jocelyn, Jenifer, Ingomar, on the east side, it's not, it doesn't go right off Connecticut, but then you have Chevy Chase Parkway, and then Ingomar picks up again. All of these houses are row houses, duplexes mostly. It's already very congested. We had an apartment building, the Huntington, that right now is empty. It's been empty. It's changed hands several times for about 5 years. Before it was empty, it was extraordinarily difficult to park on my street on Jenifer. And even with it being empty, I know Jocelyn, it's extremely hard to park. Chevy Chase Parkway at certain points, extremely hard to park. People, you have to consider the quality of life for the people near these corridors. And we don't have alleys, or we do have an alley, but no one on my side of the street can park. On the other side of the street, some people can, but also many people have 2 cars. So before the Huntington was empty, parking was incredibly difficult. A woman I know who lived here for years, loved her house, moved solely because she couldn't take it anymore, not being able to park when she came home. Another woman I know, no shrinking violet. One day she had 2 small children, a bunch of groceries. She had to park way down a hill on the other block. She burst into tears out of the frustration of trying to be able to park anywhere near her house. And, you know, it's just what you do here affects the surrounding neighborhood. And quality of life does matter. And people chose to live in this neighborhood because they didn't want it to be super dense, because, you know, they didn't want a DuPont Circle or Columbia Heights. My next point is, it doesn't surprise me at all that 2/3 of the people who have responded to your survey want more housing. And I see this happening with almost every issue in the district. You have advocacy groups. You have Greater Washington. You have WIN.
Michelle,
You have
you're
Coalition
gonna
for
need to wrap
Smarter
it up.
Growth.
Can you wrap it up?
They organize their people. They are the ones listening to this. Regular citizens are not paying attention. And then they get ignored. And by the time they know what's happening and want to speak up, they're told, oh, well, we already decided this.
Okay.
So I am begging
Thank
you
you,
to
Michelle.
realize where your information so far is coming from. Regular citizens have not responded.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Ms. Wallen. I do want to note that we have briefed over 85% of ANCs across the city and engaged more than 6,000 residents. I understand that there are concerns about the reach, and we will keep working to make sure we reach every resident, and most importantly, to reach every ANC across the city. That's why we're here, and that's why we're here earlier in the month as well, that we want to make sure that every ANC, which represents every resident in the district, understands what we're proposing and has time to speak with us about it. We understand your concerns, and I appreciate your feedback.
There are certain ANCs that are extraordinarily tied in with smart growth.
Ms. Wallen, we got to be recognized by the chair. Thank you. I'm going to go to Mr. Khan.
Yeah, okay. Hi, Ryan. Just a couple questions, quick. Follow up to Commissioner Nagy comments. The 2050 plan references DC as a continued magnet in the plan related to growth, and the expert population estimates to 2050 look flat or very marginal. Your plan looks backwards to determine growth will continue. That's a big fault in the plan. I mentioned this face-to-face last week with the CFO, and he understood what I was saying. And again, if you build it, they will come philosophy has to be thrown out the window. It no longer applies to the future. The reason can no longer be used for low, medium, high growth projections. We have low, lower, and lowest. Those models need to be run because they affect all manner of planning, from Go DC to transportation planning to housing plans, way beyond the 2050 plan. I need you to take that back with you and get back to us directly to say, hey, do a reassessment of your population assessments and plan accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback, Mr. Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. All right, we have Cheryl Barnes.
Hi, Ryan. I have 2 quick points. You sent some information or said some information and that I'd like some clarification on. The
Yes.
population growth by 2050, 22%. Is
It's
that
about 20.
correct?
It's about 20%. I don't have the specific.
But your proposed housing growth is 41%. So I'm confused about that. The second point, and then I'll let you respond, is that our current upzoning, which by the way was supposed to be based on the 2020 census, was based on the 2010 census, so obsolete data was used in that whole scheme. The current upzoning that is on the books really seems to conflict with what you're describing for Upper Connecticut Avenue all the way to the Circle.
Yep.
Because Livingston Street to the Circle is now, if the zoning stands after our lawsuit, if it stands, it's now zoned for 7-story buildings, not 4-story buildings as you described to Robert Gordon. And I'll take your response on those 2 issues.
And thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Barnes. In regard to the households, it's not quite 40%, it's 28% increase. I just did the math quickly off to the side. And the reason why we propose 28% is not every property will redevelop. We need a little bit of what we call headroom because there will some places will be places of worship, some people will be family homes. It's just not every site's going to change. So we need to.
Can I get a request for information here? What were the numbers you used for the calculations? Because we see 325,000 households now, and you wanted to clear up for 460,000 in the by 2050. Were those the numbers that you used?
Sorry, I was speaking to a different set of numbers. I was speaking to the household forecast, which is different than the housing that's allowed underneath our.
Yeah, so I think probably that may have been what Ms. Barnes was
Yes.
referring to, because I just did that math and that came right about 40.
40,
Okay, thank you.
40% more household units is what they're proposing, but there's only a 20% supposed growth. So that just doesn't sync.
The reason is that you need to have headroom, and typically it's 20% is a pretty standard measure of how much headroom you need to grow in a city. That's to allow sites to sort out. These are parts of the conversation we have with the city. So generally we don't match the households exactly to the forecast because the market does need to sort out which properties would get built and which ones wouldn't. In regards to the zoning, that is a process that I do not know the details on, and I'm not in a position to answer detailed questions on. There was a small area planning process, and that's why I say typically. So when I was stating the 4 to 5, the 4 stories, I was saying typically, because there are processes that can clarify the public stance of the zoning commission, and there are some different scenarios that are allowed. So I can't speak to that. I don't know the specifics of that zoning case.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Grunewald, I do see your hand. Would you like to yield to a constituent at this point?
Actually, no, because I'd like to follow up on something that Cheryl Barnes just said and that Bruce Sherman said earlier. Mr. Hand, would you kindly pull up the map, please, and show us the map starting with at the top with Chevy Chase Circle? And would you kindly let us know exactly where the city went to the zoning commission and got this zoning changed? So I would like you to point out exactly where the city has just changed our zoning to 70 feet high. I know that on the Civic Core, it changed it to 80 feet high. So would you please show us, because your pink contradicts with the zoning that was just enacted, and you've got everyone confused here.
Commissioner, as I reiterated, I do not work on that zoning case, and I don't know its particulars. I'm not in a position to speak to what it covers and what it states.
But
I think
it's not a zoning case. It's zoning done.
I think we can dig that up on our own after if he's not prepared. for that.
Well, what I'm trying to say is that's not very good planning if you're not even keeping track of current zoning. That's just very strange that you don't even know what our current zoning is, and then you're making plans for something that's half of what was just zoned. That makes no sense to anyone.
Point of order.
Shut up.
I'm
Ooh,
sorry.
ooh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Point of
Commissioner
order.
Simmons, what?
Point of order. I would just like the chair, please have the audience avoid disparaging comments. And I would like for you to address my point of order.
So what language did you find disparaging?
As the previous commissioner was implying that Mr. Hand is, I don't have the exact wording, but what she said was not kind. And it's not how we should treat our guests.
Oh, shut up.
No. I'm
Can
sorry.
Chair
Commissioner
Phinizy,
Rowland,
can we please
sorry.
remove Ms.
I have
Rowland?
muted.
May I
muted
respond,
Ms.
please?
Rowland. Excuse me. Let me speak. To rule on a point, I need to have some specific language, but I can say not well taken, but we will all make efforts to use appropriate language and avoid disparaging language. Thank you. Andrea Rosen.
Excuse me, I was referenced and I'm not allowed to speak now?
Commissioner Grunewald, we need to get to our constituents, please.
Well, that's not fair. So
Commissioner Grunewald,
I'm putting in a point of order because
I ruled it not well taken that we would go and we would use non-disparaging language henceforth.
I did not use disparaging language.
I did not say that you did. I said that the point was not well taken and that we would use not disparaging language going forward.
Yeah, but this kind of thing causes a disturbance in the conversation. I think it's done purposefully. And
Commissioner Grunewald, please, can we go call on our constituents? You've asked for constituent time. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Andrea Rosen.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say with regard to outreach that back during the small area plan period in this community, the director of planning from Alexandria, Virginia came and spoke with the community and mentioned that when large changes were coming in his jurisdiction, he and staff would go door to door and speak with people about them. That to me is an authentic way to make sure that the residents of your city know what's going on and can provide feedback. Also, in many places, even small towns in this country, ArcGIS is used to show renderings that can be altered in real time so that residents can see the changes, can envision the changes coming to their community. And for some reason, OP, even though they have contract with ArcGIS, never, ever uses it, giving people the sense that, in fact, the government doesn't want us to know what it's going to look like because it might engender some resistance. I wonder if you have anything to say about those two things. And finally, I wonder whether the FLUM and the comp plan will now be expressing height in terms of stories or in terms of feet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rosen. I want to read these questions back to you.
Okay.
Height in terms of feet, outreach, and there was one more question there. Could you remind me of the third?
The use of ArcGIS modeling software.
All right. So height, first of all, height, we do expect to express height in terms of stories. That's how we've shared it in our resources to date. In terms of outreach, that's something I would love to go door to door. I lead a team of 7 people and there are 350,000 households in the city. We don't have enough shoe leather. That's a conversation that it would require a different level of resourcing to do that kind of outreach. But that's why we work with ANCs across the city to make sure that every resident is represented by somebody we speak to. Those are the big ones. In terms of ArcGIS, we use it every day. And we use it for the resources we present to people. However, what standard practice is to show massing models at a stage in the planning process. We do that in our small area planning process. You saw that in the Chevy Chase small area plan. We're also building first of its kind technology in the United States to be able to envision the changes we're talking about here more clearly. Those are things we'll share later on this year. We're the first major city to ever develop these in the US. So we're taking a big step forward, and we look forward to having a really informed conversation. We understand these are big changes, and we know it's important to have a conversation. We look forward to having it.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that, but I have to clarify that during the small area plan, we did not see anything remotely sophisticated. It was, no, we missed out on that. Thank you.
We look forward to future enhanced software renderings. That would be lovely. Mr. Brian Howman.
Mr. Hand.
Hi, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you for your service to the district, and thank you for providing your expert opinion. I want to talk a little bit about the preservation of public spaces and public resources in the areas where you're talking about changing the profile. And I know that you've worked with Forest Hills for a while, and there have been some proposals to put up new housing over the baseball field between Brandywine and Chesapeake in Forest Hills. And I wondered, do you think, how are those kinds of places going to be preserved in your plan? And how do you plan to expand those kind of public amenities in a denser framework?
That's a really good question. By and large, we have a land use category of parks, recreations, and open spaces that we mark places like those parks with. By and large, the district, does not see parks as a development opportunity. There are a few rare sites that we do consider. So, for example, in the Cog Park in downtown, we did consider whether it would be better to swap that site that was along Massachusetts Avenue. It's very busy, it's very loud, for a site that was a little more neighborhood focused. Ultimately, there were a lot of complications, and we didn't go down that pathway. And we did create a beautiful park there. It is extremely rare that we would ever build homes on parks. The situations lead to that would be a pretty dire situation. And the future is unknown. So it could happen.
Fort Reno's not on your list anywhere there? I know Fort Reno up near Wisconsin.
Yeah. Fort Reno is federal land, and we don't speak for federal land as the district government. But in general, we wouldn't call for housing on a park of that nature. So that's, that being said, there are, in extreme circumstances, we might consider it, but in general, in normal circumstances, that's not our course of practice. And that's why we map those parks, recreation, and open spaces. In terms of the recreation needs, as more people live in the city, our recreation needs change. One of the things the comprehensive plan does is it helps our partner agencies plan for the future, because the comprehensive plan is adopted by council. It's the guiding light of where we're going as a city. And that helps organizations like the Department of Parks and Recreations to update its parks master plan to meet the needs. By and large, we don't expand parkland very often. We do it in some cases, like in Noma, when we added more housing than we originally expected. But what we more often do is we add programming to parks. We add facilities and recreation facilities and things of that nature.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carol Klinger. Ms. Klinger? Carol Klinger? Okay, I'm going to go to the next person and I'll come back to Carol. Oh, here she is. Okay.
Trying to raise my volume. Can you hear me well?
We can hear you.
You said that the idea of this corridor was because of transportation. And I don't know if you're aware that the transportation up and down Connecticut is now really slow. When I first moved to this neighborhood, I used it frequently to get up and down Connecticut. And now at rush hour, it's 30 minutes between buses, which means more people, if they were to move into that neighborhood, would need their cars. Does your plan have required the builders to put underground parking for those people living there? And is there some way to link those buildings to enhance the local transportation so it's better than it is now?
Those are good questions. Yes, I'm well aware that the bus service is pretty slow on Connecticut Avenue today. That's one of the reasons why we are proposing more housing along Connecticut Avenue across its length, is that makes it cost less to subsidize the service. And almost every bus line in the city needs to be subsidized to operate. And the more people ride, the less the subsidies required, and the more buses can be run. We've talked with WMATA and the Department of Transportation about the balance, and they all agree with us that we need to add more housing to make those buses run faster. It's a bit of the chicken and egg challenge that goes with the type of planning we're doing here. Either transportation goes first or the land use goes first. In this situation, land use needs to go first. We need to be able to add the homes so the buses can run more frequently, and that's the approach we're taking across the city in concert with WMATA and DDOT. You know, and to the parking question, in general, these buildings, especially an 8-story building, generally would have low-grade parking. However, we are, working in a way to encourage more people to ride transit, and that's by working with WMATA and others to enable that transit to become more frequently in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Hand. Shannon Wolf-Traeger.
Thank you. I just want to try to understand a couple of things here. I mean, what we're talking about is DC 2050, right? It's only 2026 right now. So we're looking way into the future, which is the purpose of good planning. We're not talking about building buildings this year or next year or the year beyond. And so I'm just a little confused by the conversation because, I would think that allowing things to happen and having them actually happen are kind of two different things. What we're doing here in DC is setting up an opportunity that would allow us to take advantage if the situation presented itself, but it doesn't lock us into anything. And given that these are, you can say $1 million apartment buildings or whatever proposed along Connecticut Avenue. These are business people that would be putting these up at the end of the day, and they're not going to build those if there's no market demand for that. So if population projections are off, those buildings won't go up because it's not a sound investment decision by those builders. Is this correct? Am I understanding something
You're
incorrectly
absolutely
here?
correct. These are how the dynamics work. And there's another part to mention here is that because we don't have a magical crystal ball, we do update and amend the comprehensive plan typically every 5 to 8 years. And that's something we'll express when we release the draft plan about our update approach, because things might change, right? We can't know the future. But with this, planning is about understanding what's likely to happen and how to create the best possible outcomes for the city. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's why we plan amendments.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And, I appreciate being optimistic about the future of the city and the future of our neighborhood. I think that that's, it gives us a lot of flexibility to be creative and, grow if there is the demand for people and families coming into our neighborhood. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. I would like to try to wrap this up in the next 5-10 minutes. I see Cheryl Barnes. Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you. Just a comment about two things. So we have an example in Austin, Texas, for instance, where the development community was largely in charge of planning, replanning the city, and grossly overestimated and overbuilt. That didn't have anything to do with any real data sets. It just had to do with developers who want to build in order to create assets. And those assets on paper don't really care whether or not there's a market demand for that building. So that's actually how the market works when the development community does the planning. That's number one. And the other point that I heard is that OP doesn't build housing on parks. But I would point out that that's exactly what OP has presented to the Zoning Commission in case 2325, is building housing on a park, on a community center, and on a library. And that is exactly the case that Chevy Chase Voice is suing the city over. So yes, Office of Planning does promote building housing and commercial space on public land, on parks, on community centers, on libraries. So just two corrections about what I just heard.
I do want to correct the record,
This is a
madam.
really confusing meeting.
Excuse me, madam. We do support building housing on public facilities. That is correct. Libraries, recreation centers, and the like, we do support that. We rarely support building housing on parks. That does happen in some occasions, but they are incredibly rare. In terms of Austin, that was a place where there was a lot of population movement to the south. It wasn't just Austin, the entire Southeast United States, all those real estate markets overestimated their in-migration. And the forecast that their property owners were using were overly optimistic. There is a correction occurring, and the people who invest in those markets are unlikely to make the same mistake twice. Generally speaking, market housing is built in market cycles, and sometimes investors overshoot the market. But then there's a correction that occurs. Those homes are absorbed, and the market remembers that lesson.
Thank you. I'm going to go now to Cal because he hasn't spoken yet. And then I'll come back and we'll close with Commissioners Grunewald and Nagy. Thank you.
So this is real quick. It's just a point. Someone made a point in this conversation about the buses on Connecticut Avenue running every 30 minutes. They actually run every 20 minutes until the mid to late evening. Omada is still, it's a year later, and they're still trying to work out scheduling issues from the big changeover to the better bus network. But they are scheduled to run every 20 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Grunewald. Commissioner Grunewald, are you there?
She may have stepped away for a minute. I think I
Okay.
got a little note about that.
Commissioner
Hello,
Nagy.
I'm here.
she's
I'm
back.
here. Hello.
Yep.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi. Yeah. So I'm coming back to Mr. Hand. I'm coming back to the question I was trying to ask before I was cut off by Commissioner Simmons. Given the discrepancy between the current zoning of Upper Connecticut Avenue, which is currently 70 feet and 80 feet, and the discrepancy between that and what you're planning, is it possible that the Office of Planning would consider letting that newly zoned area revert back to the neighborhood center heights of 40 to 50 feet? If I would like you to please investigate that and come back to us, because the city was very anxious to upzone that area, Upper Connecticut Avenue. The heights are now, as I said, 70 and 80 feet. You are now telling us that the Office of Planning wants to put a neighborhood center zone there with the maximum heights of 40 to 50 feet. So if the zoning is already passed and you want a neighborhood zone, would you consider reverting back to the heights of 40 to 50 feet? I really would like you to come back to us, please. We are all very concerned and confused about this point. Thank you.
Commissioner, I will say what I lead is our land use policy. I don't know every zoning case, and I don't know the particulars of this. Our land use policy is about the same that we're proposing now that it is currently adopted. So the currently adopted land use policy is about the same as what we're proposing for that area. I don't know the particular details we were talking about. I will check in with my colleagues. However, we are ending this round of engagement at the 1st of June. And the next time we'll come out, and this is for the commission, we'll be reaching out to you to come out for another conversation in the fall when the full draft plan is out. We think that's going to be a good time to have a productive conversation about the full set of policies. And when this will be a good time to have that kind of conversation. We're really looking forward to it. And in addition to that, the concerns we're hearing here are things that really encourage the commission to prepare a resolution on. Something that's really important to know is that the draft comprehensive plan is a little bit unique. The DC Council passed legislation in 2021 that applies the ANC Great Weight Standard to the draft small area plan rather than the final, in addition to the final rulemaking process at DC Council. And so what that means is it's very important for the commission to gather these concerns and form an opinion as a commission and share a resolution with us. That's going to be the most helpful way to address these. And to reiterate, we will come back out with a full set of policies and have another discussion in the fall.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hand. And we have, I see 2 more commissioners with their hands up. And then if you could be so kind, I posted it once, but if you can also put the link to the survey in the chat when
Yes,
you're done.
thank you very much. I'll do that right now.
Commissioner Nagy?
Thank you. A couple of just really quick points. I think if I may be so bold as to try to interpret what Commissioner Grunewald was asking or saying is that we would like to try to influence the end point before it gets to be the end point. We would try to influence. We're hoping, or at least she I think is saying, let us ask you to try to influence the outcome now before it becomes part of the draft plan that we all look at in the fall. Okay, so if you could take back to the powers that be, again, I'm interpreting here because I'm not sure it really came through. The point that we now have an upzoned Upper Connecticut Avenue that allows buildings up to 70 and 80 feet, and that isn't consonant with the neighborhood situation that you envision in the 2050 comp plan as it's currently configured. And we would like to reconcile it, and I think, it would be nice to reconcile it in favor of lower buildings because that is the neighborhood feel, but that's my opinion. Not, and I think it's the opinion of many in the neighborhood, recognizing that other people feel differently. And the other point that I wanted to make about building on parks, I was in a meeting a while back with then council member McDuffie, who reminded us that in Noma, they did build on open space and parks, and I should be timing myself, I'm sorry. They did build on open space, and they actually had to go and buy space to create a park because they had paved over a park, basically.
And
Noma was a little bit of a different situation. They weren't actually parks in Noma, they were industrial facilities. And when we were planning for Noma, we thought it was going to be a lot more office, and offices don't need as many parks. It went a little bit of a different way, and we had to retrofit parks after the fact. It was a very expensive way to do it, and it's not something we'd ever like to repeat. So it's something we were very cautious about. But Noma is not a situation that's likely to occur in many other locations, but it is a lesson we've learned deeply. Commissioner, I want to note that I don't have access to the chat, so I'm unable to drop the survey back in. I do want to note that though we have not proposed a change on the northern part of Connecticut Avenue, if the commission does want to send the Office of Planning a letter expressing their concern about the zoning matter, we'd be happy to receive it. You can email it to dc2050@dc.gov. We'd be very happy to receive that. That's a great way to provide feedback on that, in addition to the survey that I hope the commissioners will. Oh, thank you. I'll drop it in the chat.
Thank you so much. And Commissioner Gore.
Yes, I just wanted to say a couple things. First off, I want to thank Mr. Hand for coming back out to the ANC and just laud you for your professionalism, your expertise, and the way you've handled this conversation and the discussions. Totally fact-based, and that is what this community needs. And you did an outstanding job. And I want you to know that I sent an email to Director Cozart expressing that. You have been exemplary in this conversation, and I truly, truly thank you for that. My other comment is to the ANC. If the ANC wants to engage on this discussion as opposed to asking Mr. Hand to go back and take the comments, the ANC should put together a resolution. That is the only way that we get great weight. And it's up to this ANC to do the hard work and sit down and get a resolution together to put towards the city. This conversation is moving on. And unless we put our voice in the conversation the right way, we're not going to be heard the way we want to be heard. And the only way that we are going to be heard is with great weight through a resolution.
Thank you, Commissioner Gore. We do need to wrap this up because we've still got some other items here on the agenda. So Cheryl, I'm sorry, but we've had 2 chances to talk and we really do need to move on. And Commissioner Nagy, is it possible also that you can yield, or you got one more for Mr. Hand?
I actually have a comment,
Okay.
but and I'll make it really brief. And that is that, yes, the commission can and maybe should do a resolution, but that's not inconsistent with asking Mr. Hand to take back a message about what was said tonight. So I view the two as not inconsistent. And again, maybe a resolution is the right way to go, but it's not inconsistent with asking for our comments to be relayed. So thank you.
Commissioner Nagy, I want to thank you for that comment. And here's what I will do. I will look into the zoning matter. I don't know every zoning case in the city, but I will look into this matter to understand what consistency issues it might have. If folks do have concerns about this area, feel free to send us an email to dc2050@dc.gov. That's a great way to share this feedback. And I want to thank you all for having this conversation with us.
Well, and I want to thank you on behalf of the whole commission, again, also for coming back. And I know that you got tapped at rather a last minute to come, and the fact that you were able to be so thorough and spend so much time with us with not a whole lot of lead time on your part is really extra commendable. So thank you again. And I think we all, Commissioner Nagy, I really do need to move on. I
just want to say one very quick thing to Mr. Hand, and that is, please feel free to reach out to me by email or by telephone, and we can continue this offline.
Thank you, Commissioner Nagy.
Okay, and to all of us, the door is open, and thank you very much. And I will, I'll follow up with Heba afterwards and let her know also as well. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for a good conversation.
Thank you. And for our community who participated, Ryan Hand did put in the chat at 9:15 that the share link to the survey. And so you should be able to fill it out. It is this so that you can take it once. So if you do want to go kind of look through it and not actually hit submit, you can do that, go back and gather more information, but it's designed to have each user take it only once. So if you're not sure and you want to go get more info and dig into the Office of Planning site, do that before you hit submit, because you won't be able to revise. Okay. We are going to move now for a vote on timing. We got DEMPED, as you may know, is going to come talk to us on June 4th. Because initially only DCPL and DPR were going to talk to us about the Civic Core site. And that meeting is going to be on June 9th. And Commissioner Simmons will talk about that a little bit in just a moment. But some people were concerned that that didn't address the other aspects of the proposal for the Civic Core site, and that other part, which includes housing, comes under the purview of DEMPED. So they are going to meet, and we've heard feedback that the community would like to engage and have more opportunity to participate. So we were able to get the community center that we were just able to finalize that up, I guess, yesterday, make sure we had confirmation from DPR about that. So the meeting to accommodate the end time at the rec center and give 2 hours of participation, and then also break down at the end, would need to start at 6:30, which is a departure from our normal start time of 7. So I would like to make a motion that we start this meeting at 6:30 on June 4th. Do I have a second? I have a second. Are there any questions or comments about this? Any discussion? All right, seeing no hands raised for discussion, I will move to a vote. Allow me 1 minute to get my matrix. This helps me keep track of all the votes. Okie doke. All those in favor of having the start time on June 4th at 6:30, say aye. I see Gore. I'm looking for Sherman. I see Sherman. I see Grunewald. I have Phinizy. I see Nagy, Goslin, and Simmons. So all those, put your hands down, please. All those opposed say nay. All right, so the motion passes 7-0 to have the meeting start on at 6:30, June 4th at the community center, and we'll be getting information out. We hope to have hybrid, and we'll post that link. We did get the microprocessor part of the hybrid equipment that was broken replaced, and so knock on wood, we've tested it once, knock on wood, it will work. All right.
So, Chair Phinizy, in regards to this meeting on the 4th, I sent communication in the agenda for this meeting. So we have asked DMPED to come to this meeting. And I just want to make sure we're clear that we've asked them to come. So are we going to have an agenda for them? What is it? Because it's our meeting. So February was DMPED's meeting. This meeting that we've requested is our meeting. So I just want to make sure that we understand that we need to lead this meeting and have an agenda. So if you could get back to me on how we envision this meeting to go, just so that it can be good for our guests as well as the community members and the ANC.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. That's excellent, and I will do that. Okay, and now back to you, Commissioner Simmons, to talk about the June 9th meeting at the Chevy Chase Library.
Sorry, I've had my hand up. You said June 4th. Are we talking about June 4th or June 9th?
We're talking about both. So,
okay.
Because there's kind of two, as you know, DC, we have multiple jurisdictions for everything, right? So the part of the public facilities, the DCPL, DPR is one issue, and the part that is housing and kind of overall sense of site space is under DMPED. So they're going to have two separate meetings in order to have time for engagement. So here comes Commissioner Simmons.
Yes, I just want to correct that. So for everyone's awareness, the ANC sent an email to DMPED requesting for a meeting. And the meeting on June 4th is a response to that. So just so everyone is clear, we requested a meeting with DMPED, and DMPED said yes, and that meeting will be on June 4th. Going back to February 28th, when we had our kickoff meeting, I want to bring up the slides. I have the slides available, and if anyone needs to see the slides, they can go to the Civic Corps project site. In the Civic Corps project site, we had a timeline that discussed the project. And beginning summer 2026 to early 2027, we have the concept and schematic design. And so DPR and DC Public Library are in the process of beginning the community engagement process for the design phase. That meeting will be held on June 9th from 6:30 to 8:30 at the library. And that meeting is going to be managed and controlled by DC Public Library and DPR. So that is their meeting, and they will lead that meeting. And we would like for the community to come and attend to this meeting. I know there's been many concerns about the programming, what we would like to see. I know people are interested in possible co-locating DPR and DC Public Library rooms. There are people who are interested in having them separate. So this is an opportunity for everyone to come out and say, I want a gym, I want a climbing wall, I would like to see all these things. So DCPL and DPR will be open to have that feedback. I believe they already also have our survey preferences from many years ago. So they are also going to incorporate that. And this will not be the only time for individuals to provide feedback. We will have many iterations of community engagement. This is just the beginning.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. And I don't know if we have, I saw her come on earlier, but she may no longer be here. But the presenter from DCPL, Martha Sacoccia, was on our meeting earlier, and she seems delightful, and I think she'll work hard. And I just was able to speak with Brent Cisco of DPR today, and he has also been wonderful in working with Lafayette Park and Rec Center, Lafayette Pointer Park and Rec Center, and both over the whole history of like the last 15 years. Commissioner Sherman.
I just want to say, as in terms of our agenda, I thought we were proceeding to have that business discussion after the OP. Am I incorrect on that?
Thank you.
I think there are several people from the community on the call right now to take part in that conversation.
Okay, so I had on my list, I had the timing, June the 4th, then the June 9th announcement, and then discussion of possible vote for DCPL and then business owners. Would you like to
No,
we could have a special motion to allow the business discussion to go now and suspend the rules, allow the business owner discussion to go now to allow them to get off. That would be fine. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and allow the Connecticut Avenue business owner discussion to go now.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
A point of order. We have a point of order.
Yes, Miss Carol.
Yes, Miss Carol. I like that.
Sorry.
We have a constituent on here who has had her hand raised, Janice Brennan.
Okay.
I think she wanted to comment on the previous conversation.
Thank you.
I just
point well taken for your record keeping, Commissioner Grunewald. Ms. Brennan?
Yes, I just wanted to ask Ms. Simmons what time the meeting on June 4th was. I don't think you mentioned it.
We just voted to have it begin at 6:30. It'll be 6:30 to 8:30.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the same time for the June 9th meeting.
Right.
Okay, great. All right. So we had a motion to suspend the rules and allow the Connecticut Avenue business owner discussion to go next. We had a second. All those commissioners in favor of allowing the Connecticut Avenue business discussion, say aye. I see Gore, I see Sherman, I see Grunewald, I see Phinizy, I see Commissioner Simmons, yes, thank you, and Coughlin and Nagy. All right, all those opposed say nay. I don't see anyone. I'm going to lower Commissioner Sherman's hand so it doesn't get confused with a vote. And so now the Connecticut Avenue business owner discussion. Commissioner Gosselin, would you like to lead that off, please?
Yeah. This is responsive to the commission's request that we engage with the Upper Connecticut Avenue business community about the Civic Core development. And this is a process that's going to involve more than just this report and just this meeting. But Robert Gordon, who is a former ANC commissioner, a former ANC chair, former president of the Chevy Chase Community Association, a neighbor of mine, is also a major business owner along the avenue. He convened a meeting yesterday afternoon, attended a pretty good attendance of about 8 or 9 business owners besides and managers besides himself, and there was a 2-hour very useful discussion. Just so the commissioners know, I have been talking with Anna Claire Walker, who is the head of the Chevy Chase Main Street, as well as the acting director of District Bridges, the umbrella organization. She is going to take the lead in a letter and questionnaire to more than just the group at the meeting yesterday. Her experience, and it's mine as the 6-year commissioner for the west side of Connecticut Avenue, is that that's going to have to occur by us walking around and talking to businesses and helping them fill out things because people are just too busy. So that's that. We will give you an updated report on that next step in this process. But I wanted to introduce Robert to give his perspective on what was said yesterday, and then I'll give a brief addendum to that. Robert.
Thank you, Commissioner Gosselin and all the commissioners. So I'm going to give you a briefing, and the impetus for this meeting was essentially around the Civic Core, and particularly around the 8,000 square feet of retail space and I want to voice our concerns. So, as Peter said, 11 businesses were represented by ownership at the meeting. Little Beast, Birdsong Thai, Art Sound Language, Artsy Beast, Magruder's, Park Story, Chevy Chase Wine and Spirits, Child's Play, Chevy Chase Stationery, June Be Sweet, and Health Psychology Partners. Also attending were Anna Claire Walker of Main Streets and Jerry Mallitz and Commissioner Goslin. And they told me that this was the largest such meeting that businesses have had along Connecticut Avenue ever. The businesses agree that their voices have not been effectively engaged during the Civic Core planning process, and they would like to be more involved in the next phases in the planning process. None were contacted by DC Planning during the years. Simply, the small business community should be engaged. Those assembled agreed that the formation of a business organization should be considered so the businesses have a voice at the table and in future negotiations concerning various aspects of the planned development of the Civic Core. For the most part, owners saw the additional apartment building tenants as prospective customers. The consensus is that smaller units and small locally owned businesses in the commercial space is preferred rather than large brands or national chains. The creation of 8,000 square feet of retail space on McKinley in Connecticut poses concerns and opportunities depending on the use and tenants selected. At least one owner expressed interest in being considered to lease the future space. One concern mentioned was the possibility of competing with new businesses. That is, the new businesses coming in would compete with existing businesses, and these businesses who might be benefiting from subsidized rate, which might make the playing field uneven, and that's because the city is clearly subsidizing the space. Some discussion about recruiting small businesses and not large national regional chains. In other words, the small businesses, family-owned businesses want to have an opportunity to get in that space if it goes forward. The group suggested that a large number of local businesses need to sign on for this new business organization to make it viable. Parking is a universal concern for businesses that are currently operating in the area. Another major concern is that the construction, which may take several years, would potentially affect foot traffic, utilities interruption, water, electric, and doesn't seem to be in the conversation at this point in the process. We're talking about a uniform petition to keep Chevy Chase business local, or keep small businesses in Chevy Chase could be effective to get the residents to support the small business issues in the development. And among other things, we would like to have the ANC resolve that the small business community, the local business community, be involved as a entity in all upcoming DEMPED meetings, and that it be recognized as a body that must be part of the conversation. So thank you.
So let me pick up from there and say that's a very fair report about the results of the meeting. Robert talked at several points about an organization. So it was a two-pronged goal in the meeting. It was to get feedback from business owners about, particularly about the retail space in the proposed development. It is also on Robert's part, an effort to organize, and I think we saw at the meeting the first steps towards organizing an independent, freestanding organization of business owners and managers for the Upper Connecticut Avenue corridor. Just with regard to the proposed 8,000 square feet of retail, I think that just to be clear, Robert has deep concerns about that, and he voiced those. I think on balance, most of the owners were net positive on the possibilities for increasing foot traffic and providing new customers for their businesses. One of them, Child's Play, basically expressed interest in perhaps using the space, and also gave what is a classic, what it seems to me a great testimony for why we need to have a new community center. She said that Child's Play is a very important children's play destination. And as a result, she can attract great children's authors, but she can't find a place to have events. And so one of the things we're going to have to make sure of as we move into this discussion with DPR and DCPL is that we provide that opportunity for a cultural center that would allow a place like Child's Play to flourish even further. Anyways, there's more to come on this, but I think we've tried to be responsive to the concerns of this commission, that the business community gets heard. And I think that with the organization Robert is putting together, we need to integrate them into this discussion going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it is a stakeholder group that is so important and makes all of our lives so much richer to have all these local businesses here. Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah, I want to thank Robert Gordon. Robert, thank you so much for coming tonight, for enduring the preceding remarks and session of the commission meeting, and for bringing the business owners together. I had been the one to suggest the motion to reach out to business owners specifically, and I am very pleased that's happened. I commend Commissioner Gosselin for his work on this, and I look forward to hearing more from your group and other business owners on the Avenue. It's critical that we have your input, so I'm very pleased to have the report tonight, and I look forward to hearing more. So thank you.
Can I clarify one item?
Sure.
In terms of the building itself and having 170 some odd units and maybe 300 or more potential customers, businesses are for that. As far as the 8,000 square feet of retail space, there's a mixed reaction. Nobody wants to see subsidized competition in the neighborhood. So there's two factors operating at the same time, and we should remember that.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Commissioner Simmons.
Yes, hi. So thank you, Mr. Gordon, for saying that you all welcome 177 or whatever number of units of housing that will be there. I know that will be very wonderful for the businesses along the avenue. I went to Skip's last night with about 4 other people, and we were the only ones there. So hopefully, I would love for our businesses to continue to thrive in our neighborhood. Thank you, Commissioner Gosselin, for representing and being a part of this meeting with the business owners, especially in that relationship that you have built along our ANC with the business owners. And then I would just like to say, Mr. Gordon, if you and the other business owners can participate in our meeting on June 4th, as well as June 9th, that would be wonderful. We would like everyone to stay engaged and to participate. We want to hear from everyone, not just the same 30 people that attend meetings. We would like for everyone to come and make sure that they have an opportunity to speak. And I think the concerns of what is going to be at the retail, we don't know. We could probably have a childcare, CCPC or Broad Branch could move into there, right? We have a plethora of opportunities for everyone. So I just want to encourage everyone to have an open mind as it relates to retail. Good to hear from Child's Play. I don't know if we even know if it's going to be subsidized, if it's going to be comparable to the rents along that. We haven't gotten there, but just participate and make those concerns or have those known, so that it can help. I'm sure some of us that live along the avenue would like to see more housing because that could affect rents on the avenue, right? So thank you. I just want to say thank you to all that. So
To answer we would be delighted to participate. We would like to be recognized as a formative group rather than as separate individuals owning stores, because then we're obviously having a little more weight in the mind of DEMPED.
yes. So Chair Phinizy, can you please take that request into account?
Yes, and actually I have a question for you. And Mr. Gordon, you may already have this in your outreach to commissioners, but or to businesses, but are you getting together like a Google Doc, a list with all the businesses and the owners and contact information, kind of a mailing list? I think that would also help us consolidate and reach out as a group if you have something like that, or when you get it together.
I have an email list. I contacted it's a conglomeration of several lists, and it has probably 60 to 80 entries with email addresses. Probably 8 or 10 got kicked back to me, but I think the rest are pretty good.
Okay, that'd be great. If you would forward that along, and we can make sure that all the commissioners get it, and that would be a real tool for us to be able to use to reach
Let me see how I can handle that and clean it up.
And make sure, and also check with the business owners, make sure they're okay with our getting their information. Hopefully they are. Okay.
Chair Phinizy, before we move forward, do we need to make some kind of motion that, whenever we have our individual ANC meetings, that we have the business owners outline as a stakeholder, in the discussion? I know they're not elected officials, but just making sure that they are like an agenda item, or if Commissioner Gosselin will make sure that they're pulled in, in his relationship on that. So I just don't want this to fall off the radar as we move about.
Yeah, I don't know if we need a formal motion at this point, but definitely being mindful. But Commissioner Gosselin, thoughts?
Well, my thought is that given what Robert's just said, I think we'll certainly stay in touch. We live 2 houses away from each other. I think that the formation of the group would help us treat you as treat the business community as an organized entity. So, and as I said at the meeting, the big decisions seem to me to be coming up very quickly this summer and fall. And I encourage the entire group to get organized in a way that they can speak with a clear voice about this now versus, the smaller decisions that will be made in the future post this year. So, it seems to me, responding to Commissioner Simmons' suggestion, we need to really wait. We can take this up as soon as our meeting, the 11th, but we need to wait for a formal organization. Don't we, Robert? Doesn't that sort of make sense?
Well, there were several ways that I thought about going. One is to create a 501c4, or to use Main Street that already has all of the infrastructure to do that and give them and ask them for a special committee or something like that. And we really didn't get down to those details. You have to recall that this was a information meeting, and
well, look, I think realistically that we can.
Peter, I've got a call on you. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry, Peter. You have Commissioner Gosselin.
Yeah, I suggest that we're going to be in touch. Let's discuss the best way to get some formal organization on your side so that we can be sure that we have a contact. But I think that in the interim, being sure that Robert is invited to every meeting, being sure that Anna Claire Walker is invited to every meeting is a good interim step, and we may be able to do something formal as soon as June, our next meeting. So.
Thank you. I see Commissioner Sherman and Commissioner Nagy.
Yeah, very quickly, to the point that we've been making throughout the evening, that the way to have our voice be heard is to do a resolution. We may not be ready tomorrow or within the next week to reflect the interest of the business community, but Commissioner Gosselin, I certainly follow your lead on this, but I think we'd want to put something together because the city is in active mode and looking at what they intend to do. And we know that Rift Valley and DMPED are in final negotiations, we hear, on their plan. So now's the time for this commission to speak on these things.
I understand that. And that.
Thank you. Commissioner Nagy.
I was, sorry, I muted. I was going to suggest something similar, that this is the time for us to be putting together a resolution on this point very soon. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not the next day. But yeah, we keep hearing that the way to make ourselves heard is a resolution. We've been doing great. We've passed a bunch of resolutions lately as an ANC, so we should just keep up the good work.
All right, thank you. So I think as I'm hearing that as this business organization coalesces, and it does seem like Main Street would be maybe the most rapid framework, then that'll help streamline communications and we get your preferences, then that may enable us to do a resolution. Commissioner Simmons, is your hand up or did I see it go away?
Oh, it was up. I was gonna move forward, so I don't know if you need to finish anything in this segment.
I think our next item on the agenda, if it's okay, because I think right now we don't have for a formal motion, but we will look forward to working together with the business community more tightly and really appreciate your perspective. Thank you.
So Chair Phinizy, I was going to make a recommendation that we adjust our agenda, that we move forward to commission business to approve the quarterly financial statements, and then we take forth the resolution that Commissioner Sherman drafted, and we changed on the agenda earlier to another meeting. It's 9:49, and I prefer not to be on a call until almost midnight. So in the interest of time and discussion, I would like to make that suggestion.
Okay. So as before, when we change the agenda, we would ask to suspend the rules and make a change to the agenda. So I have heard Commissioner Simmons, I believe I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you would like to make a motion to suspend. And I know I'm not going to use the exact Robert's Rules language, so just forgive me, but to postpone the discussion to a date certain for the resolution for the community input design preference resolution. Is that what I am hearing?
Yes, and include that resolution to our website, and we take on commission business such as the quarterly financial report. I don't know if it still needs to be approved within 45 days of the quarter ending. We're past that.
Yeah, no, so it's on there for a vote. Does Commissioner Gosselin, did you have a question, or are you offering a second?
I just wanted to point out, I've got a medical procedure at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Shouldn't be decisive on the matter of what we do here, but it would be really great if we did not go on try to break our record on.
Okay, so are you seconding
I will
Commissioner
second.
Simmons'
Yes, I
motions?
will second her.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this? I see Commissioner Gore's hand.
Yeah, I'm just thankful for the motion. As the rest of the commission might not know, but I had to leave DC at very last minute because we had a burglar alarm in my house. Right below the house, I came across a car accident that had a fatality, and the fatality was still in the roadway. I cannot continue on, so I would love to just move to commission business. The resolution discussion is going to take the commission some time, and when we get into our meetings pretty late, we get a little cranky. So I think Commissioner Simmons has laid out a very good path for us, and I would vote in favor of this.
Okay, so I've had the motion seconded. I've had Commissioner Gore offer her point of view. Commissioner Sherman, this was your resolution that you asked that we discuss and possibly vote on this evening. Would you like to offer any comments before we continue the vote? I don't see anyone else's hand up.
No, we can go to the vote.
Okay. So let me see if I can recap that motion accurately. Commissioner Grunewald, I know you were trying to capture all these motions so carefully. Commissioner Simmons moved that we suspend the rules and move to a date certain. And that would be our next meeting, our next scheduled meeting that is not the DEMPED meeting, is on June 11th. Commissioner Sherman's resolution on the previous community input design preferences for the center and library and move to commission business. The motion was properly seconded. All those in favor? Sorry. All right, let me check on this. Let's see. 1, 2, no, 3. I had 4, yes. 5, yes. 6, yes. 7. No. Okay, so all those, put your hands down, please. All those opposed? That's District 3, District 7, and District 2. Okay, by a vote of 4 to 3, the motion passes. We will take this up on June 11th. And that will also be after we have had a chance to hear from DMPED and also from DCPL and DCPR. So we'll have to turn it around fast, but I think we would have very good comments informed by a lot of information there. Commissioner Sherman.
Yeah, just to say, when a commissioner, in this case, this commissioner takes a considerable amount of time to prepare a resolution, circulates it in advance to the commission, and is then the subject of a crowded agenda so that the matter gets taken off by the request of a fellow commissioner. I find it unfortunate. I find it not considerate of the time and effort that a commissioner puts into developing such a resolution. I would also say that the timing of this was meant specifically to come before the meetings on June 4th and June 9th to inform our city agencies as to the manifest views of our residents expressed in surveys with a total response of nearly 7,000. It's astonishing the amount of information we have, and the resolution was simply aimed at conveying that information to the district. And I would say then also from the standpoint of how we handle resolutions and how we treat them, we need to think about that as a commission. And I find it, again, a fellow commissioner says, I've had enough of this meeting, therefore I don't want to consider the rest of the business. It's a very convenient way to truncate a conversation and move business off of the agenda that they would rather not deal with.
Point of order. Point of order.
What is your point? What rule has been broken?
Commissioner Sherman is assigning blame is not the word, but is assigning points of view to Commissioner Simmons that may or may not be accurate. It's inappropriate.
I don't believe I heard him attribute any comments to Commissioner Simmons.
His last comment was specifically contributed to the commissioner that called for the basically the orders of the day. And he assigned that by saying that the commissioner may think X, Y, and Z. Commissioner Sherman, do you want to repeat your last statement?
I'm sorry.
Phinizy, would you like to have him repeat the last statement?
I
attributed to the commissioner. Basically motive.
Commissioner, so I heard Commissioner Sherman say that truncating it may be a convenient way to not take care of business, but I did not hear him assign that to a specific commissioner.
When he said
the point is not well taken.
Commissioner Phinizy, I'd like to appeal that because Commissioner Sherman.
All right, we'll take a vote. Is the chair's ruling sustained?
Commissioner Phinizy, I was trying to finish my statement. And what I was saying,
you asked to appeal. So then I ask, is the chair's ruling sustained? It goes to a vote.
Yes, but you can have discussion, and the person that asked for the appeal should be able to say why they are appealing per the procedure.
Commissioner Gore. Yes.
Thank you. Prior to making that statement, Commissioner Sherman said the commissioner that called for was truncating the process. He directly attributed that statement to the commissioner that called for the change in the agenda item.
Okay.
And that is assigning motive.
All right. Noted. Commissioner Simmons.
Is that point well taken? Because that's why I raised my hand. I just wanted to let the community know that my intent in that is not to disregard a motion or work that someone else has done. It's 9:58 and we're talking about this. Also, I don't believe the community has had an opportunity to receive the resolution. It's not posted on our website. And I asked for us to move forward and commission business to approve the quarterly financial report. So I'm here to support this commission, but it's 10 o'clock and I would like for us to move forward. I would also like for us to really take heed to sticking to timing and agenda items. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it is a challenge because we get asked to stick with timing. We have limited times, shorter times on community feedback. People are unhappy. We extend the times for feedback and the agenda, you know, the timing gets a little ahead of us. So it's a push-pull. Commissioner Grunewald.
Yeah. Given the timeliness of this and the great importance of this resolution that Commissioner Sherman has developed, and given that he gave up his time slot to Peter Goslin and Mr. Gordon, I strongly advise and I move.
Point of order.
Commissioner Grunewald, hold on a minute.
Every time I speak, I get an interruption.
She called a point of order, so we have to hear.
I know,
point of
that's
order.
right. It's yes, of course, it's a point of order.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Commissioner Gore, what's your point?
The discussion is on the call for my original point of order regarding those statements of Commissioner Sherman. If you ruled it not well taken, and I asked for an appeal, the motion is on the discussion is on the appeal.
Correct. Correct. I was going there, but
Thank you.
there we go. So their point is well taken. Commissioner Grunewald, we are debating whether the chair's ruling
Okay.
is sustained.
Then I move that we vote on that.
We will vote on that after discussion. We can't move on the vote because you've already decided to vote on it because Commissioner Gore appealed. So,
And I'm trying to get us to
Second.
call the question. Is that what I'm supposed to say? I'd like to call the question and vote on
we
that.
need, we can call the question, but then that takes a super majority. So I think we're just ready to take the vote. I really do. Then it'll save us an extra step. Okay. So is the chair's ruling sustained? The chair ruled that the point was not well taken. All those who think the chair's ruling is sustained, say aye. So sustained is 7. I see Grunewald, I see Nagy, I see Goslin, I see Sherman, I see Phinizy. Please put your hands down. The chair's ruling is not sustained.
Okay.
Okay. So the chair's ruling was sustained. The point is not well taken. Okay.
Order.
Now,
So can I get back to my point?
We are getting ready to talk about the treasurer's report and vote on the quarterly financial report. So that's, go ahead, Commissioner Grunewald.
Yeah. So as I was stating before, I was interrupted by Commissioner Gore.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Commissioner Gore, if I can just take this one.
Yes,
The point of order is not an interruption. It's just a point of order. Okay. So it is, I mean, it is an allowable interruption. I'll say it that way. It is an interruption, but you can't call it an interruption. It's a point of order.
Go
Okay.
for it. Let's bring on the points of order.
Okay. So it's well taken. So continue, please. Just call it a point of order.
Okay. So before I was interrupted.
No, point of order.
Point of order.
Please call it a point of order before the point of order.
Before the point of order interruption, I was saying that given the timeliness, the great importance of this resolution, and given the timeliness of it, that it has to be passed before that meeting with the city, and given that Commissioner Sherman gave up his time slot to Peter Goslin and Mr. Gordon, I believe that we should reconsider the vote and take up Commissioner Sherman's resolution this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Grunewald. Does anyone have a second for that? Second. Is there any debate on that?
What are we voting on? Are we voting on what we just voted to move forward? Like we're doing it again?
She wants to reconsider the vote so that we voted previously to table the resolution to June 11th, the date certain, and then proceed to the treasurer's report.
So since
she has asked to reconsider that vote.
Yeah, so just so I understand, make sure I'm understanding, it's 10 o'clock.
Right.
Something that didn't go the way a commissioner wanted it to go, we're gonna re-vote to see if it will then go in their favor again.
Right. So if we look in the handy Roberts rules, the motion to reconsider, which is in the yellow book, this one on page 58, if a motion has been either adopted or defeated during a meeting and at least one member who voted on the winning side wants to have the vote reconsidered, the member may make the motion to reconsider. So just to hear me out on this motion can only be made by a member who voted on the winning side. So if the motion was defeated, it only by a member who voted against it. If the motion passed, it could motion for it. So the Commissioner Grunewald cannot motion to reconsider that vote because she was not on the winning side of that vote. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, Commissioner Gore?
I was going to raise the same issue. Motion to reconsider under parliamentary procedures and Robert's Rules of Order is extremely specific. Thank you for handing that with the facts.
Okay, so Commissioner Sherman, could you give the treasurer's report for the quarterly financial report that we need to vote on and approve? Do you need to share screen for this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make sure you can share. You should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
We can see it. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I think everybody's had a chance to take a look at this. The quarterly report details below the expenditures that we had during the course and the allotment that we had during the course of the quarter. I would simply ask if commissioners have any questions about this.
It looks like Commissioner Simmons has raised her hand.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. So when we approved our budget in October 2025, we had allocated for the purchase of service to be $2,000. Right now, we have purchase of service for $3,400. Did we work with the Office of ANC to amend what we allocated for our budget? Secondly, I just want to confirm, can you please just stay down with the transactions? Next, I just wanted to confirm that we made a payment by debit card for $3,400 to Arborcentric. I guess I was just a little confused because, and this is because this contract transferred through commissions. I thought my understanding was that they had already been paid. So is that $3,400 us paying for them to do our website? And then in that same question, did that $3,400 include the additional $150 in accrued charges? And is that why the owners said they no longer wanted to be paid for the charges that they had incurred? And then did we need to have the ANC vote approval on that debit card transaction before it happened? Or since it happened, did we need to approve that purchase? I guess I'm just like, I'm just kind of confused about this contract and the $3,400 only because I wasn't a part of the initial. So if you could provide some clarity or discussion around that.
$3,400 was the payment for the final invoice under the original obligation that the commission entered into in June of 2024. That payment for $3,400 was against an invoice submitted in July. That invoice in July rolled up or included all charges approved to date, and that invoice was not submitted for payment during the course of the balance of 2025. It was an invoice that the new commission officers received and had to process in 2026. And as you will recall, there was discussion about this at several different meetings, and the justification of this originally was provided by the OANC was in error. And we went back and researched the legitimate basis to pay this invoice, and it all tracked back, as I said, to when the ANC in June of 2024 originally obligated the $10,000. There were 3 installments during the course of the contract. This was the 3rd installment, submitted in July, as I said, of last year, and finally paid in February. The commission approved this payment on 2 different occasions. On the first instance, it approved it against a rationale that was in error, and that came from the OANC based on documentation that our ANC had provided. And so we went and then we reauthorized that payment, and it was therefore made in February. There is no code.
So this was approved by the ANC in January?
It was approved by our ANC, voted yes, the minutes show. And
in January. Okay, so if you could update the memo, because I think that's where I I was getting a little bit confused. But if now that you talk about it, I think we approved this in January, and now it's April, May that I'm seeing it. So that's why I was just like, it's so confusing. So if I don't know if you can go back and update the memo, but just like put in the memo, ANC approved January XYZ, still having having what you have that there. And I think that'd be
in the
clear.
QFR portal, as you well know, there you supply the minutes where the expenditure is authorized. The minutes
Correct. I'm not reading the minutes. I'm reading the quarterly financial report right now.
Okay, well, the minutes explain.
I don't have access to the portal, if you remember. Only the officers do.
Commissioners, just heads up for the all the minutes from up through March 23rd are now on our ANC 3g.dc.gov website. If you go to the blue tab at the top under the financial transactions tab, they are there through March 23rd.
Yes, thank you, Chair Phinizy. Thank you, Chair Phinizy. I'm just asking that if the memo, if you can go back down, if the memo portion would say approved in January XYZ minutes, because had I saw that in the memo, I wouldn't have been confused and like, where is this coming from? Then I could go to the minutes and say, oh yeah, we approved this, and we wouldn't have had that discussion. So now that we've had the discussion, I'm clear, I understand that this was approved, yada, yada, yada. The only suggestion that I'm making is that the memo is updated to show that this was approved in January, whatever date meetings. And then going back to my initial comment, we set our initial budget for purchase of service as $2,000 because at the time when we set our budget, it was not, at least to my understanding, that we still had another invoice to pay. So did we cover our budget portion? Because I think I only allocated $2,000 for the budget portion.
I actually think we have more than that in the budget. And I have been in close coordination with Dawn at the OANC on the QFR. But if there is an issue on that, I will certainly bring it back to the commission's attention.
Yes, if you go back to the October 25th, you'll see my email that has the proposed budget that we approved in it, and it has $2,000. Thank you.
Okay. Can I remind both commissioners that they need to talk through me as
sorry,
consuming
Chair.
as it may sound, but we need to come through me if you have another point of information. Thanks.
Thank
you. Commissioner Nagy? Commissioner Nagy, are you there?
I am. Sorry,
Okay.
thank you. That was the reason why I had my hand up, was to ask that commissioners speak through the chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, Commissioner Sherman, are we able to make a motion to adopt these with the, it sounds like we're gonna need or we'll have a little notation there, but otherwise, are we able to adopt these given that we had approval from the OANC for the $3,400 expenditure and that we have the documentation and emails that it was ruled fine and so forth?
Yeah, let me move that we go ahead and approve this, subject to reconciling the line item on the budget that Commissioner Simmons noted. I will coordinate with the OANC on that.
I second.
All right, so we have a motion that we approve the quarterly financial reports, the QFR Q2 for FY 2026, subject to reconciling the line item that Commissioner Item noted. The motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor of approving the minutes, subject to reconciling that line item, say aye. And I'm sorry, I'll need to get my little matrix. All right, I see.
Chair Phinizy, you said approving the minutes, approving the QFR.
I'm sorry. Yes, approving the QFR. Yes, I think I said it right the first time, and then I got, as we get
getting late.
We're getting late. We get a little tired, but we are still working on it. I do see Commissioner Nagy. I do see Commissioner Gosselin and Commissioner Phinizy. Okay, all hands down. All those opposed say nay. There we go. All right. So by a vote of 7-0, the quarterly financial report is approved. Commissioner Sherman, did you have any other treasurer business that you needed to share at this time?
I just want to move that we approve an expenditure of $60 in total, $20 per month for June, July, and August to take over the hosting of the beta site that was developed by Arbcentrix. We now need to preserve that site while we move forward in taking care of the documents that have been downloaded and that we needed to, as I've indicated previously, determine how we're going to file those, whether they would be within an ANC OneDrive sent off to the DC archives, uploaded to our website, or disposed of if we feel that they're no longer needed. That's business that we can take up at a future meeting. But since we're coming on to June 1 before the next meeting, we need to take over the hosting to keep that site going so that we preserve the documents.
Thank you.
I move that we do that. It would be an expenditure again of $60 in total, 20 for June, July, and August.
Okay, so Commissioner Sherman has made a motion. We have a second.
I second.
Is there any discussion on the topic? Commissioner Gore, did you have discussion?
I did. Where do we have an invoice?
Do we have an invoice? No, because it's a hosting. I'll have to take a look at it and get that's the quote that I have. If it varies from that, then I'll report back to the commission.
And so I'm sorry, and I misspoke when I said invoice. And you're right, it's late and I'm tired. I mean quote. Why are we voting to approve on something when we don't have a quote and know exactly what the cost is and what we are approving?
I was told by Arbcentrix that it's $20 a month.
I understand what they told, but I'm asking Chair Phinizy, we should have a quote. We should have a written document. My comfort level, especially given the history of this contract, is that the contractor submit a quote so that we understand exactly what this contractor is doing, what services they are going to provide, how much it's going to cost, and when it's going to end, so that we have something to gear it by, not just a word.
Chair Phinizy.
I would I appreciate I appreciate Commissioner Gore's attention to detail. I would like to amend the motion that we authorize expenditure up to $60, provided that we have a quote from the company by the June 11th meeting. Authorize expenditure not to exceed $60, because like, for example, if we're going to do postcards or something, we can authorize an upcoming expenditure not to exceed. And then that by June 11th, we should have that quote. And then we should be able to go forward. So that would be my option to amend it, to authorize expenditure not to exceed with the provision of a quote on June 11th, if not before. Is there a second to that amendment?
I'll second it.
Okay. A discussion on that, Commissioner Simmons?
Yes, I was just gonna suggest that if this is a monthly reoccurring fee, if we can get the May bill, but whatever.
That might be a clean way to do it. Thank you. Commissioner Gore?
I was just going to add, I think scope of work is critical, and that when we are dealing with any contractor, any payment of services, that we have a clear scope of work. And that has been one of the issues with this contract from day one.
So with the authorize, we could amend the amendment, authorize the expenditure not to exceed $60 with the provision that we get the quote with the scope of work on June 11th.
Yes, that's what I would.
Okay, so that would amend the amendment. Anybody have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor of amending the amendment to include scope of work, say aye.
Aye.
all. That is all. I do not see Commissioner Goslin, but that is 6 yeses, hands down. All those opposed? That's 0. Abstain? I do not see Commissioner Goslin voting.
So would he fall under abstain?
I'm going to put him under the abstain. Yes.
No, it's
No,
not
I'm
under
sorry. I'm
abstain.
sorry.
Commissioner Goslin?
I voted, I'd like my vote counted as yes.
Okay. All right. Just hang on there for a few more minutes, Commissioner Goslin. All right. Now we can go and vote on the amendment, which was to authorize the expenditure to not to exceed $60 to include the provision on June 11th of a quote with a scope of work. Can we pass that? And then we'll pass the original motion, and now it's the same thing. We'll lather, rinse, repeat. Can we vote to approve that amendment? All those in favor? Commissioner Grunewald? Commissioner Gore, yes. Commissioner Simmons?
Yeah, so we're approving the updated amendment.
Yes, to have not to exceed $60 with the provision of the quote on June 11th. And
with the scope of work.
Well, the scope of work was the amending the amendment. Now June 11th with the provision of the quote on June 11th is the amendment. And now we are authorizing the now we have a third vote. It's complicated, but it's very legal. Okay. No one was opposed. So now can we have the motion to authorize the expenditure not to exceed $60 for June, July, and August to Obstetrics with provision of a quote on June 11th with the scope of work. That's the original motion. All in favor? Okay, we are good. So we will pass that, Commissioner Sherman, and if you would be so kind as to get us the quote with the scope of work, then I'm sure everything will be in order. Commissioner Simmons, did you have a question? No, just waiting, finishing up that vote. Okay.
Yeah, Phinizy, I have a point of information.
Point of information.
When someone does not vote, you can't count that vote as an abstention. An abstention is a vote in and of itself.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Nagy? You are still muted. Did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I don't recall you specifically saying that it was an abstention.
I said I think he might be an abstention, but then he jumped in there. So
right.
Yeah,
okay.
No, we're fine.
My mistake.
No. It was I did say the word abstention, and the hour is late, so confusion may be possible. Let's go to website update. Commissioner Nagy, you want to talk about the training and so forth, or you want me to jump in?
Yeah, I can do this in like record time. I think you and I both went to 2 separate trainings put on by ANC by Kent Base on how to update our website ourselves. So now we're all trained. I presume we're all trained and we both have credentials so we can make changes to the website. So the framework is there and we're busily putting up new things or old things, moving things over. And that's partly why we're going to be continuing the hosting so that we have time to do that. And I know that Commissioner Phinizy reached out to Kent Base because he has a background in this kind of library science stuff to see whether he had naming conventions that we could use, and we're on our way.
Okay, good. Yep. And we've been able to fix a calendar glitch. Carol Grunewald caught calendar glitch in July, and we were able to go in and fix it and get some minutes put on there. So we're on our way to taking control. They still have where OANC has to upload minutes right now where they're located in the toolbar, but we should be able to do our own in there shortly. Commissioner Grunewald, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that it's really too bad all this time being taken up by these smaller things could have been given over to Bruce's resolution. I see some people have gotten a new wind and they seem very anxious to talk about finances and so on. But this very important resolution that is very important to all of our constituents in our community was not taken up. I think it's shameful.
Thank you, Commissioner Grunewald. Okay. We are going to go now to Ms. Brennan. If it is all possible for me to move to commissioner reports, that would be lovely. So commissioner reports, I'll start with single member District 1, Commissioner Gore.
Yes, just to let everyone know that we had a vandalism incident with the Pinehurst Circle bus stop. Myself and Commissioner Phinizy were out there dealing with it. Commissioner Phinizy, was that Sunday? I believe it was Sunday, this past Sunday.
The destruction actually happened the day before.
Right. I think the destruction occurred on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
And we responded out there on Sunday. But I've been in touch with WMATA to see if we can get an estimate on the time frame to get the stop back up in order. So just bear with WMATA in trying to get that fixed. I don't know if it's going to be a quick fix or an easy fix, but just to also be cautious around that stop because there is a lot of loose glass. We did have community members trying to, clean it up and get as much glass out of there as possible. From my understanding, there was an arrest made, and the gentleman was having a mental health issue. So I don't think there's any further danger or harm to the community. But just for public awareness, if you have kids that are using that stop, please be cautious of the glass. There is also a lot of glass in the roadway. So if you're dropping kids off, just make sure that you're cognizant of that, so you're not maybe running over glass and all that type of stuff. And then going back to the comment that was raised at the top of the meeting with the Beach Drive, SMD01 has been looking at that and talking with primarily folks in Hawthorne because they're the most closely affected. But it absolutely travels up into the Barnaby Woods in terms of traffic patterns, and I will make sure that the community is aware. What director, oh my God, I can't think of his name, it's late, but what the director basically, we were trying to do is establish another meeting with NPS to see exactly what steps we need to take. And I'll keep folks posted about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Gore. All right, Commissioner Sherman.
No report.
Commissioner Grunewald.
Yes, I do have a report. I've been working steadily with DDOT to try and get various groups of my constituents traffic and safety and traffic calming controls for their immediate neighborhoods, which is the subject of greatest concern in Chevy Chase next to crime. On top of that, my constituents are very concerned about planning changes that could possibly result in zoning changes for Chevy Chase and during the current revision of the comp plan. And my constituents want the ability to bring their concerns to the ANC and the rest of the community. And my constituents are also very concerned about the civic core development, the private housing that's being proposed for our community's only publicly owned land near Chevy Chase's commercial corridor. And they also have great concerns about the proposed new library and community center that will now sit under an apartment building if the redevelopment as proposed goes through. My constituents want the district to honor their oft expressed preferences. Thank you.
And Commissioner Grunewald, do you want us to take a brief mention about upcoming project at Ingleside, or hold that off?
No, I'd like to hold off on that so I can make a proper presentation. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now single member District 4, that's me. So as you may have seen, the grass field at Lafayette is open. We're very happy that it's open. I wish that they had used the correct grass. I found out that they did not use the correct grass for the field. They used tall fescue instead of zoysia, which was more durable because it was 60 cents a square foot cheaper, which seems like a very small price when you're have that sunk cost of having a field roped off for all those hours. But I've talked to DCPS. They've got work orders in and are trying to get a contractor for a lot of the deteriorating brick around the school. Also spoke with DPR today again about the erosion project. There's still not much movement on getting back to the treatment of the top of the hill, which is really where the point from which the water flows. And we're hoping to see some work on that. So I spoke to them about getting dry wells up there, getting the soil aerated, getting really durable zoysia grass, none of which were in their plans, and working with Friends of Lafayette Pointed Park on that. The bear carving has finally been approved, but we're waiting on a date for that. And so, yes, those are, and still trying to work with DPR to get the playground equipment fixed and a lot of the repairs at the park. We're having a tough time getting some of the needed maintenance there. Mary Callahan, I do see you. Let me go through our commissioners, please. Commissioner Simmons.
No update. I do know this was brought up at the beginning of the meeting in regards to plug and my single member district from our last meeting. Those issues brought up at the meeting were resolved immediately. So no further updates. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gosselin.
No updates. No update.
Commissioner Nagy.
Thank you. Hang on, I'm going to put myself on a timer here. Sorry. I'll make it fast. I have two things that I wanted to mention. One of my constituents wrote me a couple of days ago, over the weekend, actually, on Monday, on Memorial Day, to tell me that the fire department showed up at her door, confused that it was a different street, 1 block away. And they stayed actually for a little while, it would seem. But they seem to have like no understanding that they were on the wrong street, and we don't know where the failure occurred. It turns out that that kind of delay, my constituent believes, contributed to the death of her daughter a few years ago, her grown daughter. So it hit her really hard because the anniversary of her daughter's death is coming up any minute now. I did write to the head of Office of Unified Communications. I haven't heard back yet, to say, kind of what happened here, and can we please figure out why they were at the wrong address, and didn't seem to know kind of where they were going. Because that's a real completely apart from the question of the pain that my constituent felt at having reliving this horrible episode. It's a serious problem. I mean, we all know there are issues with emergency response. So I've taken that issue up. And on a more positive note, today I attended a meeting that I arranged with the help of the Moker's office for the residents at Regency House to have a learning session on what ranked choice voting means, so that when they go to vote, they'll understand, they will have access to information to understand how it's different from the old-fashioned way of voting. And I'm super pleased that we were able to make that happen. The Department of Housing is a totally tough nut to crack. I've been trying for a long time to be able to provide access to information to the folks who live there, and I'm tickled pink that I was able to do this. And that thank you to Monica Evans, whom we all know is the executive director of the Board of Elections, for helping me out and doing the session.
Mrs. Evans has been tremendous. That's great.
She is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Can't say enough nice things about this public servant. One thing I had a quick aside. We had some issues with trash and their Google Maps isn't what that the trash people were using did not reflect the current road situation. And you may just want to see if Google Maps is wrong, because the trash trucks were following the actual roadways, but Google Maps showed something different. And so the trash routes weren't matching the actual roadways, and it was causing my constituents not to get trash picked. So it could be something as simple as that with the Office of Unified Communications. I would just check that Google Map because they often have errors. Mary Callahan, did you have some parting words for us?
Hello. This is a question for Commissioner Grunewald. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Mary.
27th Street from Broad Branch up to Military has now become extremely rutted again. And as you know, that's a dangerous thing because if people go around the ruts on those curves, they're in the direct line of the other way of traffic. Is there anything being done about that?
Mary, yep. I've been on the phone and in constant communication with DDOT about this. I actually sent a couple of weeks ago, actually several weeks ago, and I did it again. I risked life and limb and stood in the middle of that very treacherous stretch of road. And I took photos of all the cars driving in the center of the road over the center line to avoid those terrible potholes. And they were driving in the center of the road, going around curves and a steep fall. So extremely dangerous. So I sent a series of photos to DDOT showing all these cars driving on this curvy road in the middle of the road, endangering everyone's lives. And they said they're working on it. I have tried and tried. The residents who live on that block are beside themselves. And so I will just keep trying, but I agree, it's outrageous. The real problem, I think, Mary, is that the road is crumbling from beneath. It's not just a simple matter of filling a pothole. The whole road is disintegrating and it's structurally unsound. But they do need to provide some kind of temporary fix because until they can get around to repairing the road, in a more foundational way. But I am on it, believe me, and my constituents on that block are on it, and it's terrible. So, but thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, well, thank you, Carol, because it is a really dangerous situation right now.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely, I'm so on it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope you say when you're on it, Carol, that you're not literally on it anymore. The idea of your standing in the middle of the roadway while your dedication is commendable. That's way above and beyond the call of duty to go out in the middle of the road.
I'll send you the photos. They're a little scary.
I do believe you. All right. It is now 10:38, and I am hoping that one of our commissioners will second my motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And yes. Okay. That all opposed?
Really?
I was supposed to ask it. I know. Okay. So I'm declaring this meeting adjourned. Thank you for all who came, for attending. Thank you for engagement with your community. We appreciate you and have a good night. Thank you.